All right, it's now 3 o'clock. Big news for the Ducks. Quarterback Dante Moore announced he is returning to Oregon for another season, putting him in a position to be the number one quarterback in college football next season. 49ers linebacker Fred Warner isn't ruling out a return Saturday night from a dislocated ankle, but still has multiple checkpoints to clear. Niners at the Seahawks, 5 o'clock Saturday night on Fox. Seattle favored by 7.5. Bills and Broncos will kick off the divisional round 1:30 on Saturday on CBS. Game is a pick'em right now. Sunday at noon on ABC. Texans at the Patriots. New England favored by 3. And Sunday at 3:30, Rams at the Bears. LA favored by 4. Trailblazers fall to the Warriors last night without Denny Avdia. Back home to meet the Hawks tomorrow night at Moda Center. Tip at 7. Chris Burkhardt will have game day live at 5 from Moda Center. No word on Denny's status for tomorrow night. Jeremy Grant could be nearing a return. And Young Hansen has been assigned to the Rip City Remix. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing is coming at you right now.
Live from the Coors Light Studios, it's time for the Rip City Drive, hosted by the crazy and often irrational Chad Doing. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill.
It was an outstanding defensive performance, one of the best that I've seen, especially versus a really talented offense, a talented quarterback who's played at a high level for a long time. So I'm proud of our defensive performance. I think this is the best performance we've had in our team history. So I'm proud of our guys for that, to limit the points, to take the football away, not only just take it away, but to go score. You get 2 defensive touchdowns, that's a big deal. It doesn't happen much, and so I'm proud of our guys.
Our defenses play like this all year. They've held us up, and I think, this is one of the best performances I've ever seen. It's crazy. I'm thinking on the last 3 wild card games I played in, they've always had a pick six and like some type of 2 turnover game, So, when you have a defense like that, it's really, really encouraging.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing starts now.
All right, I'm getting too many phone calls from Bills fans right now. A good friend of mine, Larry, just called up. He was in Portland for a number of years. He's from Buffalo. He's now moved back. And so he just called me right before the show, and it took about 3 minutes into the phone call. He's part of Bills Mafia, and now my blood is pumping, and I can't wait for the game on Saturday, and I hope Denver kicks their ass. He called up to explain how he was concerned about the game and then quickly started to tell me how the Broncos were frauds and he doesn't trust Bo Nix. And I'm like, yeah, of course you don't. You've got Josh Allen. The only quarterback you fear is Patrick Mahomes. So it's like, I don't need your analysis on the game. Now, I did ask him, I said, like, what are you afraid of? That's what I want to know. You know how Bronco fans think. They're all concerned about Josh Allen and how they're going to be able to slow down or stop or contain Superman. And that's the way the game is being built. It's basically Superman against the Denver Broncos. And really, Denver shouldn't even bother showing up. Why show up? You're just a speed bump on the pathway of Josh Allen's trip to the Super Bowl. You don't need to show up. You got no chance in the game. The current line right now is a pick 'em. And basically what Bills fans are worried about is, one, their coach, Sean McDermott. I've gathered that from some of the Bills Mafia members. They think McDermott's a bit of a dum-dum, and they don't trust him against a guy like Sean Payton, who's pretty sharp and built for the postseason. They're also concerned about the long injury list. Their wide receivers are beat up. They don't have any legitimate targets on the outside, and also concerned about the run defense, which has been brutal throughout the course of the year. But then again, they've got a good pass defense. They've got Josh Allen. And in big-time matchups like this, if it's a close game, you're obviously going to favor a quarterback like Josh. And there is pressure on Buffalo. Without Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow in the postseason, they're looked at like, hey, if you're going to get over the hump, if you're going to get this done, if Josh Allen's going to get the monkey off his back, now is the perfect time to do it. And for Denver, they've been right there at the top of the NFL throughout the year. They went 1-2 in their first 3 games. They won 11 straight, and their defense has been sensational. They also had 68 sacks on this season, which by far leads the NFL. So the divisional round will kick off Saturday at 1:30 on CBS with Denver and Buffalo. Unfortunately, for those watching the game, we're going to be subjected to more Tony Romo, who needs to be benched, sidelined, tucked away in a closet somewhere, put in one of those rooms with the padded walls and put him in a white jacket Tony Romo is butchering NFL games and the call of the great Jim Nantz on a regular basis. Well, gee, I don't know, Jim. Whoever wins this game has a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. Well, thank you, genius. Yeah, this is the postseason. When you win in advance, you've got a chance to win the Super Bowl, especially when you've got Josh Allen as your quarterback. I just can't take Tony Romo anymore. And I'm glad that people are starting to take notice of what I've known ever since he started. You know, when he started, he was like the new hot thing where it's like, oh, Tony, he knows the plays. Tony can predict what's going to happen. And then that quickly turned into, is this guy on drugs? Why is he always butchering the call and talking over the top of Jim Nantz? Medicate the guy. So anyways, I'll be muting him. And they really do need a Tony Romo mute button. Someone needs to shut the guy up. So anywho, I'm excited about the divisional round. The wild card weekend, probably the best we've ever seen in that round with the close games, the one-possession games, and the ridiculous plays. The top play of the wild card round in my mind was Caleb Williams' throw on fourth down to extend the game and their season and put his Bears in a position to make the comeback. Somehow, some way, throwing against his body, going one direction, throwing back the other direction, on a rope, between defenders, first down. He's a freak. And there aren't too many guys on the planet who can make that type of throw. Your telephone number is 503-248-0620. Aaron Fentress going to join me at 3:20. We'll talk about the Oregon Ducks. We'll get his take on the championship game. And, of course, he's a big Bears fan. And I know Tony and Boring, who I haven't heard from in a while, also a big Bears fan. We'll get his take on the Bears and Rams coming up on Sunday. But most importantly, Dante Moore is making his return to Oregon. He announced it today, and I like it. You know, these college athletes now have options. If they want to go to the NFL, they can go to the NFL. If they want to stay in college and make money, they can stay in college and make money. And I asked Alex Brink, our college football and NFL insider, former Coug, who works with quarterbacks on a regular basis with E4 Sports, his take on Dante and what he thought might be best for his future. Here's what he had to say.
It's not necessarily about him. It's more about the success that we have seen in recent years of NFL quarterbacks that have played a lot of college football, right? Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels coming out. You know, there's a number of guys that have spent a lot of time in college that then go to the NFL and have had success in recent years. I think a guy like Fernando Mendoza, who's played a lot of football at the collegiate level, is going to have a lot of success in the NFL because of all those snaps. And I think for Dante Moore, you know, you forget, because he had such a fantastic year and Oregon was so good, you forget that was his first full year starting, right? Mm-hmm. So think about another year of Dante Moore, full year starting in Oregon. It reminds me a little bit of, you know, what Bo Nix did, right, when he decided to come back for another year at Oregon. And a lot of people were kind of like, well, you can go to the NFL. Are you really going to accomplish more at Oregon? In the end, yes, he did, but also he gained so much more experience through that final year.
I like the move by Dante Moore. I would have supported his decision to go to the NFL as well. The one good thing is he won't have to worry about being drafted by one of the crappy franchises, the Raiders, the Jets, or take your pick. You know, the usual teams that are picking in atop the draft. But I agree with Alex's assessment. You come back to Oregon. He only started 1 year this season. He'll get a chance to continue to work and refine his skills, get more experience, get more games under his belt, and then be better equipped to go to the NFL next year. Now, there is risk that's involved. If he gets hurt, if there's a serious injury, if things go sideways, he is taking some risk because he would be one of the top players taken in the draft this year, which would bring in a lot of guaranteed money on his rookie deal, not to mention starting the clock on that potential second round or second contract where you're going to make all the money. So, but great news for the Ducks. Dante Moore will now be looked at as the number one quarterback coming back to college next year. He'll have a chance to even, you know, continue to improve that draft stock. But more importantly, the Ducks should be pretty loaded up, even though basically every team in college football right now has to turn over an entire roster because of the portal. It's absurd. But the Ducks, with Dante Moore, with the experience, with the leadership, continued work in the offense, they're going to be right back at it again, knocking on the door, trying to find a way to solve the riddle to get their first national championship. But if you talk to anyone that's been around Dante or spent time with Dante or worked with Dante, they all praise him in terms of his attitude, his personality, the way he works, his character. Like, he's everything you want in a starting quarterback. And for the fake Patrick Mahomes, Dylan Riola, who's going to be on the bench, he'll get a chance to watch, learn, listen before he takes over. Similar to the pathway we saw for Dante Moore, who had a chance to work on the bench and learn for a year before he took over as the full-time starter. So it's pretty exciting. So Dante Moore coming back, the Ducks will have their quarterback in place, and really that's everything you need right there in college football. You've got to have that quarterback situation figured out, and the Ducks will have one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in college football next year. And for Duck fans, you got to feel pretty good about where you sit, even though you're coming off the frustrating loss to Indiana. Now, with the title game, that's coming up on Monday. Right now, the Hoosiers are a 9-point favorite. It's totally insane. That's a massive spread. And the Miami Hurricanes have proven to be tough, really tough at the point of attack. But the Hoosiers right now, by far the best team in college football. They whacked Oregon twice. They took out Ohio State. They crushed Alabama. They passed every test along the way. And they've got a witch as a head coach in Kurt Cignetti. So what does Alex Brink think about the title game? Here's what he had to say.
I feel like I've been dogging Miami all year, right? Like,
we all have.
I told you I didn't want to watch Miami, Texas A&M. You know, I didn't think they'd have any chance, to win the previous week. But they keep finding a way, and it feels like that formula that Mario Cristobal has, wanted to implement everywhere. Oregon, Miami, with an uber physical offensive line, a defensive front seven that's going to beat you up, and then sprinkle in some elite skill position players. He's finally, I think, got the formula, right? The X factor for me has always been Carson Beck. Carson Beck, when he plays great, that team is really, really hard to beat. I think the Indiana defense forces you into situations you're not used to with their zone pressures, their aggressiveness, their ability to cover on the back end. This is going to be the toughest matchup Carson Beck's had all year. I think, unfortunately, that will be the difference in this game. Carson Beck maybe makes a few too many mistakes, and Indiana wins the game.
All right, there's Brink. Okay, here's what we got. Aaron Fentress is going to join me coming up next at 4:20. Pete Fuitak of College Football News, one of my favorite sites. We'll talk title game and Dante Moore coming back. And then at 5:20, we're going to head to the Mile High City and talk with Ryan Edwards of 850 KOA and get his take on the Broncos and Bills and the other three games in the divisional round. But, this is everything we want in life, in sports, this weekend. So we're going to get 4 phenomenal NFL games leading right into the national championship with Miami and Indiana. All right, telephone number, 503-248-0620. You can reach out to me on the Rip City Radio text line at 88528. 88528. I'm giving away a 4-pack of tickets for the Coors Light Silver Seats on Friday's show for your chance to be sitting in high style for the game against the Heat coming up on the 22nd. We'll do that Friday. And, oh, by the way, if you wondered what it might look like for the Blazers to play a game without Denny Avdia, we got to look at that last night down in San Francisco. Not good. And the first quarter alone should solidify Denny Avdia's attempts to get into the All-Star game. He's an All-Star, trust me. And he's also the MVP of the Blazers and by far their best player. So they're back home tomorrow to meet the Atlanta Hawks. And no word on Avdia. I don't expect him to play, but Jeremy Grant, I believe, is nearing a return. All right, Aaron Fentress is up next. We'll get his take on Dante Moore, and we'll check his temperature on the Chicago Bears as they get ready for a big-time game against the Rams on Sunday. You got the Rip City Drive. Brendan Slaughter is here, 503-248-0620 on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, always a pleasure to welcome this guy on from the Oregonian. Very happy to welcome Aaron Fentress back to the show. And, Aaron, I love that comment you made on the video of the Bears fan in the high-rise, shirtless, going crazy. You're like, hey, I don't condone it, but I understand it after the big win over the Packers.
Yeah, that dude was out of control. He must have been eight to 10 beers in, throwing chairs up in the air. I guess he got arrested. He should have been arrested. That guy was a little crazy, but I get it. That was a pretty impressive comeback. The funny thing is, I when they failed on the 4th and 1, I kind of thought, yeah, they're probably screwed. But I really never felt like it was completely over because they've been living on the edge all season long. And people can say whatever they want about Caleb Williams, but that dude has the clutch gene. Like, there's just no doubt about it. 7 comebacks in the fourth quarter, like 4 or 5 at least, trailing inside of 2 minutes. Like, that guy has more come from behind victories in the fourth quarter than most quarterbacks have in 4 or 5 years. He still has to work on some accuracy issues. Earlier in the game, he can be a little bit of a wild card sometimes. But, man, he makes some crazy throws. He's got wicked arm talent. And did I say it? The Chicago Bears might really have a legitimate franchise quarterback for the first time in my lifetime, other than, I guess, McMahon, but he couldn't stay healthy.
Dude, I'm telling you, that throw on 4th down between defenders, and I saw it from his angle. I have no idea what he saw. I mean, he's one of only like 2 or 3 guys who can make that throw in the NFL. And I'll tell you what, when they were making their comeback, I never once thought, oh, this guy only completes 58% of his passes. I'm just like, dude, he's mobile. He can throw off schedule, and he's making big-time plays. And you could see the competitive nature on the sideline and the way that he was leading that team back. His teammates believe in him, man. He was a super stud in that comeback in the second half. Awesome.
100%. And if we, in modern football, higher completion percentages are expected because of the types of offenses people are running, the timing, which really kind of started with the West Coast offense and Bill Walsh in Montana, because back then 60% was considered amazing, which was what Montana was. Other superstar quarterbacks were in the 55 range, which Elway was. And Elway was that kind of guy. Yeah, he wasn't, delivering the same precision as Montana, but does it matter? I mean, the difference between 55 and 65 literally comes down, out of 30 attempts, comes down to a few completions. And those completions are usually easy completions that one team may value over another. But at the end of the day, if I throw an incomplete pass on first down because I missed the slant a little bit, but I come back and throw a 25-yard dig, does it matter that I missed the first down?
Yeah, of course.
Right, it doesn't. I'm 1 for 2 for 25 yards. And that's sort of how he plays right now, but he's still young and developing. But that's how Elway was. Go back and look at, you don't have to, but readers or listeners, go look at Elway's stats. He was in that 50% range, but he was slinging it. So, yeah, he might come out and start a game 2 for 7, and then all of a sudden he's going 65 yards of Ricky Natil.
Yeah.
Man, he's fun. He does make some crazy throws. It's just, his escapability, his speed, it's pretty wild. But, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was an amazing game and how much fun. So right now the Rams are a 3.5-point favorite in Chicago. Like, what does your mind tell you about this matchup against L.A.? We know the Rams are good, but they've got flaws like everybody else in the playoffs. So what do you think about the matchup?
I like it because it's in Chicago. It's going to be cold. It's going to be nasty.
Oh.
And this is a Southern California dome team, man. And Stafford's track record in the cold has not necessarily been great. And the Rams, necessarily haven't been great in those situations. And it's understandable when you are any team that slings it all over the place and throws 40-plus touchdowns like these guys have this year, when they play in warm weather or in a dome, when they get in the cold like that, it can change everything.
Yes.
That said, the Bears defense scares the crap out of me. They gave up 350 and 4 touchdowns to Love. Stafford's better than Love. McVay is a really good coach. If they can find their footing offensively and Stafford can overcome the cold, then, the Bears are going to have to put up, 30 again to have a chance to win this. And I fear that Stafford's not going to blow a fourth quarter lead if they have one, like maybe Green Bay was although Green Bay's offense really didn't blow it, the defense did. So yeah, I'm a little nervous, but dude, I'm playing with house money. I came in this season. I wanted 9-8 and at least have a chance to get in the playoffs. They won the division at 11-6, and they won a playoff game for the first time in 15 years, which is why Chicago celebrated like it was a Super Bowl victory. So whatever happens, I'm still happy with the season and the progress, but I think they have a chance because it's going to be pretty darn cold.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that game. I think the answer for Chicago is pretty simple. Run the football. Utilize the two-headed. Yeah, run the ball. Run the ball, and I guarantee you, if you continue to slam into the Rams in the cold and you're running the football at 4 and 5 yards a pop, that's going to put them in a position to have success because it takes pressure off of Caleb and you keep Matthew Stafford on the sideline for a little bit longer. It's the perfect way to get the job done, and they've been able to run the football all year.
100%. That's the way you do it when you have cold weather on your side and you're a cold weather team. So I think that's what they're going to try and do. And they've demonstrated all season they can run the football very well. And so that's definitely the way to go because, man, Stafford is scary, and the Bears' defense has been – they forced a lot of turnovers, but they've also been had numerous – Flacco lit them up. It came back on them, So so that's definitely the thing to do is run the damn ball, man. Old school Bears football. Give it to me.
Yeah, run the ball. All right, we're talking with Aaron Fentress. The Texans are going to travel to New England on Sunday at noon, and this is going to be a heck of a game with two teams that know how to play defense. I look at the Texans right now as making one of these potential historic runs with their defense. Who do you like in that game, and how do you think the Patriots will do on offense with a young quarterback in Drake May against that defense, which was lighting up the Steelers on Monday night?
Yeah, so the knock on May and the Patriots has been their schedule and a lot of the bad teams they played, right? And so this is a team that's good, but man, Stroud has been kind of up and down, but their defense is insane. Their defense is pretty scary. So I definitely give them a chance to win and maybe come up with some things that disrupt May that maybe they can't overcome. So, but at the same time, Patriots are at home. I have a coin toss on this, but you're right about the whole, the defense giving a team the potential to make a run, especially if you're facing a young quarterback like this. And after what they just did to Rodgers, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's kind of old, but still, they made him look like it's time to retire.
Wow.
And they did that on the road. So I guess I'm with you. I can lean Texas on this.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. I'll tell you one thing. As a Bronco fan, if Denver advances, I want the Patriots to win. I don't want to face that Texans defense. They're just flat out nasty, and they're going to go in there with a ton of confidence. Now, Denver is going to host Buffalo. We know that, like every team, Buffalo's got issues, but the problem is they got Josh Allen. The Broncos do have home field. It's basically a pick-em game right now. I mean, how do you see this one going down?
Yeah, I feel bad for Buffalo. I'm happy they beat Jacksonville. I think I tweeted something like, you can't, they're going to go from chasing Kansas City for all these years to losing to Jacksonville. Like that just would have been awful. So I'm glad they at least came out of that one. But man, on the road, Knicks is young too, right? So that's going to be, a little interesting to see how he handles the pressure in a playoff game like that, going up against a vet like Allen. I'm going to pick Buffalo mainly because I kind of sort of want Buffalo to get over the hump. Like, if I look at the field, other than the Bears winning the Super Bowl, I feel bad for Buffalo fans. I just do. And out of every team other than Chicago, I want to see Buffalo win it. So I'm going to pick Buffalo in part because I want them to win. No offense.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of people like that, right? I think the majority of people would prefer to see Buffalo get in because of the story and the Super Bowl losses, 4 straight, which was unreal. And Josh Allen is a very likable guy, and he's a big, strong, awesome quarterback. So, yeah, I'm freaked out about the game. I'm like, of all the teams, they got to face Buffalo in their first game with Josh Allen. It's like, gosh, dang it. Oh, anxiety, Aaron, anxiety.
I know, I hear you. But you know what? You're in the same position I am. We both have quarterbacks who are young and up and coming who came in at the same time.
Yeah.
And, we have a bright future in that regard. That doesn't mean you should want Josh Allen to win, but at the same time, there's future promise for both of us. So if they lose, you're going to be all right.
Yeah. I do like this matchup. 49ers and Seahawks hate each other, which is great. And they played just 2 weeks ago in the season finale. They split the 2 games. They played week 1 and week 18, and now they're going to match up again. Look, Kyle Shanahan's been a witch this year with a decimated roster, but, Do you like Seattle in this situation? Like, I don't think anyone really trusts Sam Darnold, but the Seahawks have a complete team. Their defense is really good, and Darnold's been really good for his second straight year. Like, how do you see that one going down?
Yeah, I like Seattle just because they're at home. I want San Francisco to win because that means the Bears win. They
home game.
The NFC Championship. At the same time, if the Bears win and Seattle wins, I'm trying to figure out how to get my youngest son, who's freshman at Eugene, round him up to get up to Seattle, where my oldest son lives, so we can all go. And they're both Seahawks fans.
Oh, no.
I know.
You failed.
I'm such a loser father for that. Now, my youngest son, Peyton, is a Cubs fan. My oldest son, Isaiah, was a Bulls fan because he was young during the Jordan era.
Okay.
But then he fell out of love with the Bulls and is a Blazers fan because as a teenager and a young adult, he lived in Portland. And the Bulls weren't good anymore. So I at least have one of them on board with one of my teams, but they're both Seahawks fans. So I would be going to that game in Bears gear with those two wearing Seahawks gear, and that would be kind of painful. Unless the Bears win, then I get to just trash talk forever. But if they lose, oh, my God, I'm going to get a double barrel from those two.
Well, I'm telling you what, man, I hope the Bears win so you can have that experience. My dad turned 77 on the final week of the NFL regular season, so I surprised him with the day trip to Denver for the Broncos-Chargers game to see Denver lock up the 1 seed. And so I've got those memories forever now. So I hope you get the same thing with your kids. That would be awesome.
Definitely. So, yeah, I'm picking Seattle in that one, but hoping the 49ers win.
Okay. And I don't blame you, man. A home playoff game to get to the Super Bowl would be amazing. All right. So Dante Moore is going to come back to Oregon.
Huge.
It's huge. It's massive. So what's your read on the situation? Does it surprise you? What's your take on everything?
No, I believe he absolutely has to come back because you're going to be a high pick. You're going to get a bunch of money, et cetera, et cetera. But from a developmental standpoint, he's not ready. My whole thing with this team this year, and on Talking Ducks with Newman and Jordan and George Reister, and then on the Ducks Confidential podcast I do with George Reister, I kept telling those guys all season long, even after Penn State, that this team's just too young. They're not ready to truly contend.
Yeah.
Right? I just didn't believe the window was open. Even when I figured they'd get into the playoffs, and they got a good draw. JMU was a joke. It should have been Notre Dame. Whole nother story. Texas Tech, they did a great job against them. But 3 teams I didn't think they had a chance to beat were Georgia, Ohio State, and Indiana. Georgia and Ohio State went out, right, in the quarter. So that set the table for, hey, if you can get by Indiana, you got a shot. But they just weren't going to get by Indiana because Indiana is too mature, too grown, too old, too well coached, and they got pummeled. But now you got the vast majority of your starters coming back. You went from returning 4 starters to now returning, I haven't counted them up yet, but at least over 11. And you got the whole D-lines back. Mixon's back. You got Finney and Iffy are back in the secondary. You just stole a guy from Minnesota to replace Finneman at safety. Yes, you lose Bryce Betcher, but you got other youngsters coming out. Your O-line, Poncho's back. You're going to fill in some spots like you always do in the transfer portal. Your receivers, if Evan Stewart especially returns. Your running back crew is already money with Davison and De'Aaron Hill, and now you got your quarterback back. And he, this offseason, I think is going to make a huge jump. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to go from, okay, against good teams, we have to be able to run and take pressure off Dante, to a team where the passing game helps the run game. Because I do believe he's smart. He's a smart kid who showed humility last year by sitting behind Dylan after thinking he was a hot shot and had to start as a freshman, which blew up in his face at UCLA. So that's a sign of maturity that you don't always see. And this year he had to go out and he had to take his lumps sometimes. He had to learn some lessons. He had to struggle. Almost everyone goes through it. And we can go back to Mariota after his redshirt sophomore year. He could have gone pro, but he knew he wasn't quite ready. He came back. Herbert, after his junior year, he could have gone pro. He knew he wasn't ready and came back. I think Dante's following the same path, and I absolutely believe he's going to light it up next season. I would be shocked if he's not in New York for the Heisman ceremony. I'm not going to say he's going to win it. Anything can happen, but right now I would be shocked if he's not a finalist and that he has this team back in the playoffs and a more mature team all the way around, especially that quarterback, goes into the playoffs instead of the young team we saw this year.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm a big fan of Dante Moore, and I think it's going to be awesome to see him back in the Ducks. And you've been saying it all year, even to me, that they were ahead of schedule in terms of where they were at with their wins, but they'll be more experienced, and Dante Moore is going to be better because of it. But how insane are some of these Duck fans who want the school to make a change with their head coach because Dan Lanning has not been able to win the big one yet? It seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it's a small percentage, right? I mean, it's a vocal group online on Twitter where, you get, or X, whatever you want to call it, where you get people kind of acting a little zany in their feels. But yeah, it's a non-issue. So one thing that bothers me as an old head, revisionist history, I can't stand, recency bias, and this idea that if things don't happen instantly, someone's a failure. Right?
Exactly.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question because I don't know the answer, but how many college football coaches have won a national championship before the age of 40?
Not many.
Do you know?
Is it zero?
I was cycling through my head. I'm like trying to think back. I'm sure there's been some, but was Jimmy Johnson over 40 when he won at Miami? I don't remember. Maybe Switzer was in his late 30s. I don't remember. So I'm sure there's been a few, but there's not a ton, right? So Dan Lanning's 48-8 before age 40. That's just stupid. That's you are on a great trajectory, and there was no way he wasn't going to take his share of lumps. One of the things that annoyed me was people were trashing Mario on the way out. One, because they're mad because he left. Then he lost some big games. He blew this, he blew that. And I was like, Landon's going to do the same thing. He's not some super god coach. Almost everyone goes through it. Go look at Dabo Swinney's years. Go look at even Nick Saban's years, either at LSU or Michigan State or Alabama. He suffered some butt kickings too. It's just part of the process. Now, I know it sucks. There's 2 years in the playoffs. You got blown out. It's not a good look. It's not great. But again, he's under 40. Whereas Mario, who now is in the finals in the championship game, this is his 15th or 14th season as a head coach. He's 55. Lanning is 39, just completing his fourth year. If you tell anyone, hey, you're going to get a young coach at 35, in his first 4 years, he's going to go 48-8. He's going to go to 2 playoff games. He's going to finish the season ranked number 1 regular season. He's going to win a Big Ten title, but you're going to lose in the playoffs. Would you take that? 99% of people on the planet would take that. And so I think people have to be patient and be realistic and always consider history when you start trying to blast someone for their failures, because usually greatness comes through failure. So let the guy go through his problems, go through issues, take his lumps, because he's only going to get better because of it.
All right, here's the list. Danny Ford at Clemson in 81 at 33 years of age. Bob Stoops with Oklahoma in 2000 at the age of 39. Dennis Erickson, 42 years of age with Miami in 89. That's your youngest guys to win a national title.
What was Jimmy at Miami?
Let's see here. Let me see if I can look that up. Jimmy Johnson, age at Miami when he won the title.
He's 82 down. Damn.
Let's see here. Thank goodness for Rabbi Google. 44.
44. Okay. So
Yep.
There you go.
So there you go. So it's a short list. It's a short list.
I know. So people are pissed because Lanning hasn't done something that's only happened twice. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's why understanding history is so important. That's why I'm so big on that. You have to be able to compare things historically to really have a true understanding of what's realistic. And I mean, I knew it was coming. It was inevitable. It's funny for me because I went from defending Mario against the Lanning stands. And I remember saying 2 years ago, I go, you know what? In a few years, I'm going to be defending Lanning against ridiculousness. And here I am defending Lanning against the same type of ridiculous people were throwing at Cristobal. And it's hilarious that Cristobal's in the national championship game after all the trash he took from Duck fans. And he left, he wasn't good enough for this. He wasn't good enough for that. Give me a break.
Yeah, he went back to his alma mater. How can you criticize a guy for that? It's like he wanted to go back and be home. I have no issue with it whatsoever. And I look at it like this, too, Aaron, where I actually try to look at the good and what everyone brings to a program. I think Willie Taggart was critical because he changed the way that the Ducks recruit, which was critical even though he was only there for a year. And then Cristobal changed the way in the type of athlete that they recruit at the line of scrimmage. So his work, even though he may have left before Duck fans wanted him to, Taggart and Cristobal made valuable contributions that Dan Lanning has been able to, continue to build on and profit from, which is great.
100%. You don't have to trash one coach to prop up another.
Exactly.
And I think when you look at Oregon's run of coaches, all of them have contributed something pretty impressive and pretty important to building and creating everything that Oregon has become.
Yeah.
And that's undeniable. And Mario went, he walked away with 2 conference championship games that he won as underdog, by the way, a Rose Bowl winning a top 6 or 7 season of all time.
Yeah.
And yes, I was at Miami for the Orange Bowl. And my first time, I've been to Miami before, but never went on the Miami beaches. So I went to Miami Beach. I was like, I have to go. I'm here for 5 days. I have to hit the beach.
You have to.
So I went to the beach. And I went on this pier, Dania Pier or something like that. Saw people fishing, saw these seagulls running around, went in the ocean for a little bit. And I sat there and I thought, only an absolute fool would think that anyone would choose Eugene, Oregon over this, let alone a Cuban Miami-born couple.
Yeah. And you're making big-time money where you can live in the best neighborhood. It's a no-brainer.
Exactly. I remember some Duck fan called me an effing idiot. And this 3 years ago when I was, or no, 6 years ago now, when I was saying 2 years in, Mario Turity, who eventually leaves for Miami, which is something I first said the day he was hired.
Yeah.
They were saying, he's not going to, the UG school system is way better than the Miami school system. I'm like, what do you think he's going to be sending his kids to school? What are you talking about?
Private school, man. Come on.
Yeah, he's going to send them to the worst school in the city of, Miami when he's making $10 million, that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was inevitable. You can't be. I mean, you can be disappointed. You just shouldn't hate because he did a lot for this program, and Dan Lanning is doing the same.
Yeah, I'd love to see
here's
that.
Another thing too. I still believe. Look, Dan Lanning is still a flight risk to me. I know he says all the right things, but every coach says the right thing. And what I do worry about is that eventually he could feel like he's hit his head on the ceiling at Oregon. He might get to the point where he's like, I can't get over the hump here. I need to go elsewhere. I still think that is a possibility, although I kind of believe him when he says that he really wants to keep his family stationary and let his kids go to school in one place. So I kind of do believe that, but I also think that if they don't break through in the next few years, he might be thinking, I have to get elsewhere to get a certain type of player that I'm just not getting here.
I agree. Yeah, to assume that any coach is not a flight risk is a fool's errand. And I don't hold it against him, right? Every coach, and especially one that's going to be pursued all the time like Dan Lanning, always a flight risk. I'm not saying he's going to go, but at some point, someone's going to present him an offer where he's going to sit down and have to think long and hard about what he's doing, right? It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You want your coach to be pursued because that means you have a darn good head coach.
Right. And also, you can't have it both ways. You can't be ready to fire a coach when he struggles at the drop of a hat and also expect that coach to seek to stay somewhere forever. Yeah. Coaches know. Like Dan has said numerous times, I tell my kids, as long as we keep winning, Dad's going to stay here. What does that mean? If I start losing, I could get fired. We might have to move.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So they know it's conditional love.
Yeah.
It's conditional love.
Always.
So they know that. So they're always going to be thinking about themselves and what's best for them. That's just inevitable.
Yeah. I love Sean Payton, but if he starts losing football games, make a move.
Exactly.
You know how it goes. All right, buddy. Hey, dude, great work. I appreciate you. And, dude, just enjoy this weekend, man. Embrace. And I'm going to pull, even though you're rooting for Buffalo, I'm going to pull for the Bears, and I'm going to pull for the Seahawks because I want you and your kids to go to the NFC title game. That's awesome.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Take care. There's Aaron Fentress.
All right.
Love him. Yeah, that was fun. I love Aaron. Love him. We don't argue anymore because we agree on a lot of different things. All right, let's keep things rolling. We went way over on the clock, but that's okay. 503-248-0620. Pete Fuitak, college football news coming up at 420. Yeah, I think one of the most intriguing matchups for the divisional round, this Texans at Patriots game. The Texans defense is by far the best in the NFL, and they just ravaged the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers on Monday night. You all saw that, and they've been great throughout the entire season. They nearly killed Josh Allen on a Thursday night. I mean, their pass rush is relentless. They don't do anything special. There's no trickery. They just line up in their base formation and know that their guys are better than your guys. And I asked Brink how the Patriots attack that defense with Drake May. How do you do it and have success?
Yeah, it's very true. And that's, I think the way you can combat that is you treat the screen game a little bit like the run game. Right?
Yes.
It's an extension of the run. And so utilizing, your screens to, what I think is a young but talented group of wide receivers for the Patriots, trying to utilize some of that perimeter speed and then, mix that in with the run. You can win, like you said, on first and second down and stay ahead of the change. If you're in third and medium, you're going to have a chance because Drake May can extend with his feet. You've got, again, like you said, you got a good mix of young wide receiver and veteran wide receiver talent, along with some decent backs and tight ends. So, like, third and medium is a doable down in distance. Third and long becomes a problem.
Yeah. And that's what happens with the Texans. You play them. They're so darn good against the run that you look up, you lose on first and second down, and then all of a sudden it's third down and 9 or 10. And you've got those relentless pass rushers on the outside looking to kill your quarterback. I mean, they're relentless. D'Amico Ryan's done a heck of a job. A heck of a job. Now, I don't know what's going on with the offense. They've been a struggle all year. Offensive lines had issues, inconsistency in trying to run the football. C.J. Stroud looked awful in that game on Monday night in the first half. The key is going to come down to this. We know their defense can limit the Patriots' output and the big plays. But can C.J. Stroud in the offense prevent or avoid the mistake to where you give Drake May a short field? I think that's the key to the game. If they do, then that defense is going to just do what they always do. They're going to shut you down. It's not like you're going to score big against the Texans defense. All right, we'll come back. And last night it took about 12 minutes to realize that Denny Avdia is a legit all-star. I'll explain. All right, big news for the Ducks. Quarterback Dante Moore announced he's returning to Oregon for another season, putting him in a position to be the number one quarterback in college football next season. 49ers linebacker Fred Warner's not ruling out a return Saturday night from a dislocated ankle, but he still has multiple checkpoints to clear. Niners at the Seahawks, 5 o'clock kick on Fox. Seattle favored by 7.5. The Bills and Broncos will kick off the divisional round 1:30 Saturday on CBS. Game is a pick'em right now. Sunday at noon on ABC, the Texans at the Patriots. New England is favored by 3. And on Sunday at 3:30, the Rams are at the Bears. LA right now a 4-point favorite. Trailblazers fall to the Warriors last night without Denny Avdia. They're back home to take on the Hawks tomorrow night at Mona Center. Tip at 7. Chris Burkhardt will have Blazers game day live at 5 from Moda. No word on Denny's status for tomorrow night. Jeremy Grant could be nearing a return, and Young Hansen has been assigned to the Rip City Remix. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't think the Trailblazers should be allowed to play a basketball game without Denny Avdia. I figured it was going to be rough last night, and it was rough. They just looked disorganized and really never found their footing in that game. The Warriors used a 21-4 run to open things up in the first quarter, and they were up by double digits the rest of the way. Now, the Blazers, down by 26 at half, were able to muster a 19-5 run to open up the third quarter, and they cut the deficit down to 12, but the Warriors responded with 7 quick points. It was 19 again. They closed the quarter on a 23-11 run, and the rest is history. The other thing that was a problem, too, was the defense. They weren't connected defensively. The Warriors got too many open looks. They moved the ball real well, and it's just a big bowl of wrong. And I'm not worried about it. They just need Denny on the floor. This team is not constructed to win games without Denny Avdia or have great success without Denny. And I thought the first quarter should be enough to make sure that he's going to make the All-Star game. You take a look at the Blazers without Denny, and it's like, oh, my gosh, how are they winning all these games with Denny? It's because he's freaking awesome. He's a legit star player in the league. He's their best player, their MVP, and obviously deserving of an All-Star bid. So no word on Denny yet. I maintain what I've said, after the game on Sunday. If you look at this week, they had the game last night. They'll play a game tomorrow night against Atlanta. Back-to-back games Saturday and Sunday, but they get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off of next week. I would just give Denny the week off, let him get his back rested, and then he'll get a chance to come back next week. Unless, of course, he's 100% ready to roll now. But the problem is with a lot of these athletes, especially guys like Denny who are tough, they always want to rush back. And he's been working his tail off anyway. So just give him the proper rest to get right. But my guess is I don't expect to see him the rest of the week. Jeremy Grant, from the whispers I'm hearing, is nearing a return. We may see him in the lineup tomorrow night against Atlanta, which would be very helpful for a variety of different reasons. Now, the one good note to come out of the game last night was, this ramp up of Drew Holiday, who's making the return from the calf. He played on Sunday, limited minutes. He played last night, but what they did is gave him, I think he played 20 minutes in the game, but he got 11 minutes. He played the first 11 minutes of the third quarter and looked just fine. He's so good, so experienced that you can tell he knows what he's doing out there, obviously. But he looked good in his run, and I like that he got 11 straight minutes. That's just part of that process to continue to ramp him back up. So there you have it. So I would not be surprised if we see Jeremy tomorrow. And it's nice to have Drew back, but for Denny, no update on his status and where he's at. But I would be shocked if we see him this week with the way the schedule sets up with the game tomorrow night and then the back-to-back games coming up on Saturday and Sunday. Unfortunately, with the way the clock is set up for these NFL games, I'll be able to watch the first half of the Bronco game Saturday before I head down to Motor Center and get ready for that game. So I'll be in full grip mode trying to work at the same time. It's not ideal. If they do advance and somehow get past Superman, I have no idea how Denver has any chance whatsoever. They're playing Superman. Don't even bother showing up, guys. I mean, you're playing Josh Allen. Don't worry about whether or not their receiving core is decimated or that they don't have a run defense or that their coach is not near the coach of Sean Payton. You're playing Josh Allen. Why even show up? That's the way it's being presented. I don't know if that's sound logic or not. Why do you like the Bills? Josh Allen. Okay. You're playing a more complete team that has the second best defense in the NFL. Josh Allen. Okay. Whatever. I can't talk to Bills fans anymore. They're already annoying me because they don't really want to have a conversation about the game with me. They want to lure me into a football argument. Look, I'm nervous about the game. I understand Josh Allen scares the crap out of me. Super big, powerful arm, incredibly mobile, and it doesn't matter. He's got the finger, the foot, the knee. He's got like multiple ailments, but it's not like he's not going to play. He's going to go out there and play well. Of course he is. He's great. So the Broncos are going to have to be dialed in. I'm more concerned about the Bills. The Broncos have got to shut down the run. They've got to stop the run game. You got to stop it. Stop the run game. Do not let James Cook get off. Do not let the tight ends get off. And then once you can make them one-dimensional, then you can start to tee off on Josh Allen. Now, that's easier said than done, but that's really the game plan there. Temperatures right now look like it's going to be around 40 degrees and sunny. But not as big of a deal for Buffalo because they're used to playing in cold weather, obviously. And Josh Allen, I heard this. I believe it's true. He's probably more, well, he's been out of it for a while, but he did play at altitude in college at Wyoming, which I believe has the highest elevation of all stadiums in college football, which is amazing because I know that Air Force, where the academy plays, they're like 6,500 feet above sea level. So there you have it. So I'm nervous about that game. I went through the process of printing off my instructions today for my colonoscopy, which is coming up next week. Really looking forward to that. Printed them off, started to look through it, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. Don't eat this. Don't do that. Drink this. Drink that. Don't drink this. Don't drink that. It's a bunch of do's and don'ts. So that's coming up next week. So I'm going to take a couple of days off, and then I got the procedure on Wednesday. And the sooner that thing is done, the better. But if the Broncos win on Saturday, at least I'll be able to think about how happy I am that the Broncos are going back to the AFC title game as I'm going through that mess. Horrific. But the Blazers, yeah, without Denny, it's like whatever. I don't need that. I don't need Blazer basketball without Denny Avdia ever again. But the problem is I'm going to have to suffer through a few more games without Denny. Like, you know, I think it's good. I think it's a good thing that Denny is not playing for a couple of games so that people can appreciate Denny for what he is, which is a great basketball player. You know, sometimes you don't know what you got until it's gone. I think there's a song about that. Who is that? The Rolling Stones? You don't know what you got until it's gone home. Oh, no, that's not how it goes. Is that it? I don't know. Anyways, there's some type of song like that. But, yeah, I think it's good to see the team without Denny and you realize how good he is. An anchor on defense. He's been handling the rock and facilitating the offense. He gets to the free throw line. He can shoot the three. He does everything. And you could see the guys out there last night. They didn't know what to do. They were confused because Denny is the straw that stirs the drink for the Blazers. And the fact that they're sitting there 3 games under 500 this deep into the season with basically 5 rotational guys out for almost the entire year, they've just been jumping on Denny's back and letting him carry them to victories. It's amazing. Denny Avdia has been awesome. And I just want him to get the respect and the attention he deserves for the way that he has played. And he's tough. He is a tough guy. It was weird to see him come up lame at the end of the Knicks game and just walk off the floor because normally he goes down on the floor crashing down, he'll bang knees, and he pops right back up after a couple of moments of agony, and then he's ready to go. Now, speaking of the Bears, we talked to Aaron Fentress. He's pretty happy about the Bears. They're going to take on the Rams on Sunday at 3:30. Right now, L.A. favored by 4. And I asked Alex Brink about Caleb Williams, who is, well, multi-talented. I mean, look at the arm strength, the mobility, his ability to make throws off platform. It's pretty sensational.
I mean, how long have we been talking about Caleb Williams, Chad? Back to his days at USC with Lincoln Riley and saying that, if he can get in a system that can kind of keep him on the rails when it comes to his timing and decision making, and then you let the creativity happen within the context of the game, he is a special player. At USC, little too much kind of freewheeling, had a little too much freedom to do what he wanted, and I think that really showed up in his rookie year in the NFL, and then Ben Johnson comes in, starts to kind of get him into, again, a space where he can play in rhythm in the NFL regularly and then make special plays off schedule. I think what you will see from Caleb Williams moving forward is an improved completion percentage because he's going to get better with his feet. He's going to get better with his timing. He'll play from the pocket more, and then he'll still be able to make those special kind of splash plays, more like what we see from, say, the Josh Allens or the Patrick Mahomes of the world, but they have the consistency also from in the pocket that Williams is going to improve on.
Yeah, he's sensational. So, all right, so I think for Chicago, number one, their coach, don't lose your mind on the fourth downs, Ben Johnson. It's okay to punt the ball. In fact, it's okay to kick a field goal from time to time so you don't put yourself behind the eight ball because the Rams are not going to self-implode like the Packers, so you got to get off to a better start. So be sound with your decision-making. These coaches have lost their collective minds with their fourth down decision-making. And I saw a theory out there, and it makes a lot of sense. A lot of the young head coaches in the NFL today and in college football, they grew up playing like NCAA football and Madden like we did. Nobody punts the football on Madden or NCAA football. You're going for it on every fourth down, regardless of down and distance. And I think it's quite possible that these coaches think it's a video game. Yeah, screw the field goal. I'm going for it. Regardless of the situation or how the game flow is. We're going for it. But then they don't go for it in the same type of situation later in the game. I just hate that they talk or act like they have a plan when really that plan when it comes to fourth downs is shooting from the hip. If you're going to shoot from the hip, then do it every time. But you got to be smart against Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. You have to be sound in your decision-making. Run the football. Keep him off the field. And the Bears have been able to run the football all year. They've run the ball well, and they've forced turnovers. So it's really just more of the same. Now, for the Seahawks and 49ers, look, I love what Kyle Shanahan has done. I just don't know how they're going to have enough. How are the 49ers going to have enough to get over in that building, in that crib? And I guess the big question with Seattle, it's not their defense. That's elite. Mike McDonald knows what he's doing. He's got that side of the ball dialed in. Can Sam Darnold do what he did on Week 18 down at Levi Stadium and just not make a big mistake? Right? That's what it's all about. Do not make the big mistake. And I also asked Alex Brink about Kyle Shanahan and what makes him so good.
Yeah, you guys, we've talked about it often with Kyle. You know, in my experience being around him, even as a young coordinator, he had really a next level understanding of mixing scheme with personnel, right? And he would probably even tell you that, you know, he feels like he can out-scheme anybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you start losing personnel, obviously that makes it more difficult. But if he knows that he has his guy playing quarterback, right, and he has a solid running game, he thinks he can beat anybody. And I would argue that he's probably true. It's probably true, right? That's probably correct. Because as you can see with Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey, it doesn't really matter what – and Trent Williams being back really helped too. But, you know, it doesn't really matter what the other pieces are offensively. Kyle can kind of scheme it up, right? And then the real magic to me is on defense. And that credit goes to Robert Saleh. The defense coordinator is back. Right. Again, another guy that was with us at the Texans back in 2008 and 2009 as a young defensive quality control coach. Right. So Robert Saleh, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur, and Kyle Shanahan, all on that staff when I was with Houston. And, you know, Saleh, even back then, same thing. Dynamic defensive play caller, you know, really could rally the troops. And he's having to do that with, you know, dipping into his third string level guys. Right. Getting these guys off the street to come in and play at a high level is super impressive.
All right, there's Alex Brink. Yeah, I was singing the Rolling Stones. I just kind of butchered the lyrics a little bit. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find You get what you need. Something like that. I don't know. Sorry. I shouldn't sing, but the temptation sometimes is too great. All right, we'll come back. Pete Fuitak, College Football News. It's my favorite college football information site. We'll talk Dante Moore. We'll talk title game. We'll talk the madness of the portal. What about Sam Levitt, West Lynn quarterback, now at LSU with Lane? You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, our next guest is the man behind the most complete college football site I have ever seen, collegefootballnews.com. Pete Fuitak is joining us once again. And, Pete, how rough is that quarterback class going to be in the upcoming draft with Dante Moore going back to Oregon?
Doesn't help. You're taking away a guy who, you could make a case that he was going to be the number one overall pick. Yeah, it's going to be Mendoza, but talent-wise, Moore's a little bit more of a project, but the talent is all there to eventually be someone's franchise number one guy. And now what do you got? Ty Simpson? Cade Klubnik? There's not a whole lot out there that really excites anybody. But, it's going to be a little bit of a rough year, which means Mendoza goes to Las Vegas, and let's see what happens from there and see if, Ty Simpson goes from being kind of a mid to late first rounder to maybe a Jet.
Yeah, no question. With these college quarterbacks, we saw it with Bo Nix. We've seen it with a couple of others. Do you think there's some value now in today's game to get more experience under your belt in college before you make that jump to the NFL?
There must be. I don't know why. Look, do what you're going to do. It's fine and all that kind of stuff. But, I don't know. I'm kind of under the old Bill Parcells belief. If you want to be an NFL player, go be an NFL player. What are you doing? Why are you coming back and being in college when the whole goal is to get into the NFL? And if you're Dante Moore, get 1 year under your belt. And if you're really that good, look, you want to get that $50 million a year contract.
Yes.
Justin Herbert makes more money than the Mountain West, literally in media rights. Joe Burrow makes more money than the MAC. Why are you dinking around in the college game? I know he's going to get paid handsomely and stuff, but go let the NFL pay for your and God forbid he gets hurt. God forbid something goes wrong. God forbid he's not that good. Sometime or maybe next year there are a bunch of quarterbacks who rise up and become awesome. This year Dante Moore is the number 2 overall pick, and okay, so he's coming back. So. All right. First of all, great for college football, great for Oregon. I do find it funny that in his thing today when he was discussing, he had a long year. He's taking a vacation now. Didn't classes start on January 6th? Where's the college student part of this? So it's all, the whole thing's completely messed up. But you know what, Dante Moore, do whatever you want. And, if he's that good, then come back, get another year under your belt, and maybe you're the number 1 overall pick next year.
I'm with you, Pete. I think a lot of this talk about getting more starts under your belt in college, I think it's overrated to a degree, because what I've always tried to think is, okay, if you go to the NFL now, even though you could use some more seasoning, is the experience you're going to get at Oregon, is that going to be better than what you're going to get in the NFL through practice, through reps, through working with NFL coaches? Now, obviously, it depends on, to a degree what franchise you go to, but I would think that, getting into the NFL, getting that guaranteed money on the books for your rookie contract and starting the clock on that second contract would always seem like a better option. Plus, you're not putting yourself at risk of getting hurt in another year of college.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to look at this. Remember, we're still talking generational money. I know it's, even if you go to the NFL, you're pretty set as long as you don't screw up. All right, again, I guess it is in terms of becoming a quarterback and becoming the best quarterback you can be. I get it. I get, where Dante Moore is coming from, and there are insurance policies that don't necessarily pay as well as people think they do, but in terms of catastrophic injury. But, okay, look, if you – but here's the other part of this that I've never quite understood. Okay, if you're going to do this because you like – the college life, an Andrew Luck did or the Mannings did. Okay, that's one thing. But they also, wanted to be just a part of the college atmosphere. Where if Dante Moore wants that, okay, I get it. But at the same time, the money now is just so astronomical in the NFL. These guys make so much money if you are that good. And to me, it's a little bit of a sign that if you don't go early, that's a little bit of a red flag that maybe you don't quite have it.
All right. Pete Fuitak, College Football News, is with us. I appreciate your time. Of the people you've spoken with, Have you been able to uncover what the secret sauce has been for Curt Cignetti in being able to turn around the Indiana Hoosiers in such a short period of time? Like, what's he doing? Is it identifying players that fit what he wants to do and coaching them up? Is it getting older players? Like, what's been the key there? It's amazing.
Well, back in the old days, you'd say, well, he's paying players to come there to Indiana and under the table. Like now, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, he's just really good, and in that it means everything's got to be absolutely exact. They just don't. There's not a wasted step with any of this stuff. But what's going to be interesting going forward is to see if this can continue, because he got his guys from James Madison to come over. We got like 13 guys last year. He's able to put together another few guys in place. They also have been really lucky. They haven't had a whole slew of massive injuries, because that's not a deep Indiana team. So if they really had a problem with certain injury issues, there would have been a problem. But they've been able to remain crazy healthy. But that's not quite fair, because again, it's Indiana. Everybody does everything absolutely right, and it just so happens to be working right now. They don't make mistakes, and I think there's a perfect storm happening here a little bit, where if we've seen this before with teams like in programs over the years, where if you just don't turn the ball over, you capitalize on everyone else's mistakes, and you don't commit a lot of penalties, you don't do stupid things wrong, and you just run every route perfectly, do every block the right way, do everything, and they're just absolutely 100% disciplined. This can work. I am sort of shocked. The other thing too, I don't know why teams haven't tried pounding on them, and it's been the most bizarre thing is that like in Alabama, when you have these massive human beings up front to only run what they run like 19 times in the Rose Bowl, like they just stopped. Like Ohio State, they did not bash away with the offensive line, partially because the offensive line was a negative. Let's see what Miami does on Monday night with that offensive line. No one really got all that physical on them this year, and the teams that did came close to pulling it off. So, but again, it's Indiana. This is a miraculous thing. Everything kind of came together at once. Cignetti is that good. The players in the right spots at the right time, and Mendoza turned out to be this generational talented quarterback. And let's see if he can keep this thing going forward. But for right now, they're in the national championship, so it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. They're a 9-point favorite right now over Miami. I mean, is that getting a little bit steep there? Like, how do you see the matchup? Because I've been very impressed with Miami's play at the line of scrimmage, but 9 points feels a little bit steep in a title game. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think so too. Like, look, I don't mean to keep going against Indiana, because they're obviously doing a lot of things well. I never thought Alabama was that good this year. It's still Alabama, and they just got destroyed. So give Indiana credit for that. But that was an Indiana team that an Alabama team that did not play that well over the second half of the season. I thought Ohio State kind of choked as much as they just by not turning up. They played way too conservatively, and for some bizarre reason, they did it again, the college football playoff. But again, give Indiana credit. They came through. But if Kidd hits the kick straight for Ohio State, they're going into overtime, and who knows what happens there. And again, give Indiana credit for the win, but that just was not the same Oregon team. And without the running backs in place, Dante Moore, throws the pick right off the gate, and they just completely melted down and lost it from there. But they didn't play. That didn't excuse the defense that couldn't come up with any stops. So Indiana's just kind of doing everything right, but Miami's doing everything right too. They've got the talent. They've got the starting 22. They've got the veteran quarterback. They got the NFL guys. But so far, for whatever reason, teams show up against Indiana and they just melt down into this quivering puddle of goo for some reason.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking about last night, Pete? It reminds me of 2002 when Ohio State and Miami met in the Fiesta Bowl. And going into that game, there wasn't anybody I knew that liked Ohio State in that game, and everyone was on one side.
That's how I made my chops, actually, by picking Ohio State in that game.
Oh, nice. So that was the genesis of college football news right there, your pick of Ohio State.
That and picking that one, and then picking Texas over USC a few years later. Those two pretty much took things up up several notches. But
nice.
But I digress, yes.
Well, that's what it feels like to me. So I'm anxious to see the game and how it plays out. One guy that I do like, I've watched him at Arizona State. You and I have talked about him before. He played at West Lynn, just outside of Portland. Sam Levitt's going to be at LSU. How do you like that matching with Lane Kiffin?
I mean, he's going to be one of a couple. They're going to get a lot of guys there, and so this Lane Kiffin thing might be a monster. And I think it doesn't sound right because everyone's against Kiffin, and he's kind of the transfer portal master. And now, the thing about Lane Kiffin is he's never really done it with top flight teams or with a lot of talent. I mean, think about it. When he was at Tennessee, he had the 1 year. He had a pretty good year and left. He got to USC. That USC team got hit with the Reggie Bush sanctions. He went 12-0 1 year, and then all of a sudden the sanctions hit and they couldn't do anything. And then, Florida Atlantic, Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss is not a place that gets a lot of talent, like people think they do. And now at LSU, he's bound by nothing. So now we get to see what Lane Kiffin does when he's unleashed. And I hesitate to say that this is going to be Alabama under Saban, part two. I kind of get the same vibes that this is going to be a juggernaut powerhouse. And if it's anything less than a superpower under Kiffin, it's going to be a spectacular failure because the talent is there. Kiffin is just that good. And he's going to have all the talent at his disposal to work with.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I'm curious to see what Kyle Whittingham's going to look like having access to the best of the best, right? With those type of resources, I'm anxious to see how it turns out for him.
Well, but the problem, though, is he is, but how much time is he going to – you're not going to have a 5-year plan under Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah,
so,
it'd be better if he was in his mid-50s instead of his mid-60s.
Yeah, I mean, you can't – you can get go through the transfer portal to get guys, but the pieces really are there. And the other problem with this, too, is that they're not going to get the talent at Michigan that's going to be head and shoulders better than what Ohio State's going to have. And Indiana's now a problem. USC just came up with arguably the best recruiting class in the country. So there's the rest in Oregon's, getting Dante Moore back, and that Oregon's still pretty good. So the rest of the Big Ten's are really strong. Whereas you look at the SEC and it's kind of a dying conference. I mean, they don't have the money of the Big Ten conference that teams do now. I mean, they just, there's going to be certain teams. Alabama's always going to be good, and Texas has more money than everybody. But this is not the power. This is not the superpower conference that lorded over everybody a couple of years ago. So Kiffin at LSU, that's just going to, I think, be a whole other animal.
All right, Pete Fuitak, he's the man behind College Football News. Check it out, collegefootballnews.com. Hey, Pete, I appreciate the time. I know you're busy, man. Enjoy the games, and we'll see how the title game shakes out, but I appreciate you.
Anytime. Have a good one.
There you go, Pete Fuitak. Love talking with him, and I'm kind of with Pete on this, where I think, you should probably – might be better to go to the NFL. I have no problem with Dante Moore coming back for another year. I think it's great for college football, and I love college football. And Dante Moore, I want him to do whatever he thinks is best for himself. But, I don't know. I think maybe college football starts probably a bit overrated. I also do think that, getting NFL coaching from guys who are in the game. Now, again, if you go to the Jets, you're screwed. Or the Raiders. Certain franchises will destroy you because they have ineptitude at the top. Dumb franchises. Like, you probably don't want to be drafted by the Jets if you're a quarterback because they'll destroy you. The Browns, they're dumb. Who else? Raiders, dumb. The usual suspects. Tennessee probably is dumb. But we'll see. The Jaguars, they made a good hire with their coach, and they're able to turn things around. The Carolina Panthers made a good hire at head coach, and they're able to turn things around. If you're one of these crappy football teams, like traditionally crappy like the Jets or the Raiders, how are you not making a phone call to John Harbaugh right now and offering him whatever he wants? Like, I'm dead serious. He wants $20 million a year and full control, whatever. Bring in a guy with a proven track record to try and turn your team around. But they won't because some of these teams are cheap. Some of them want to get cute with the hire. And there's a lot of openings in the NFL. But I do think that it would not surprise me to see Miami beat Indiana on Monday. I've seen this way too often. Way too many people picking Indiana right now. The 9-point spread feels a little bit steep. I know Indiana's good, but come on. They're not taking on some type of bum school here. They're taking on Miami that's littered with NFL talent and a team that's really physical. Like, I know this. Indiana may beat them, but they're not going to intimidate them. And you're not going to out-physical the Hurricanes. So I expect the Canes, and they're a program that is built on we don't want to be disrespected. And they're going to feel disrespected when they show up in that game on Monday. I don't know if they can get enough from Carson Beck to win the game, but I think Miami's going to be in a position to win. They're not going to get blown out. No way. Now, on paper, if you look at the coaching matchup, it would appear that Indiana's got a slight little advantage when it comes to coaching. Maybe Cignetti might just be a little bit better at scheming than Cristobal. And, of course, clock management and everything else that goes into making decisions throughout the course of the 60 minutes that you're on the field. Cignetti knows what he's doing. And Cristobal is still, we keep waiting for them to stumble over themselves because of a decision he makes. So coaching advantage definitely goes to Indiana here, but the Miami athletes are legit. Their offensive line's nasty. Their defensive line, nasty. And just look at how they physically matched up with the teams they faced in the playoffs. They physically beat up on A&M. They physically beat up on Ohio State. And they took control of that game against Ole Miss. They're not going to go quietly on Monday night, in my opinion. 503-248-0620. We're going to head to Denver coming up at 520. And we'll have a nice little healthy conversation about the Broncos and Bills with Ryan Edwards. Get his take on the matchup. I'm looking for anything that can ease my anxiety right now because I know the Broncos are getting ready to face Superman on Saturday and Josh Allen. Not ideal. It's not the matchup I was hoping for. But as my dad told me today, he's like, whoa, if you're going to win a championship, you got to beat the best. Yeah, I understand that, but it wouldn't be bad if they had maybe a little easier game to kick things off after 2 weeks off instead of facing that guy's missiles flying around the field on Saturday. So we'll head to Denver coming up at 520. Big thanks to Pete Fuitak. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, Rip City Drive. I hope you're enjoying your Wednesday afternoon. Here is Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph talking about Josh Allen or facing the Bills and Josh Allen. He sounds like my dad. This is almost the exact same message my dad gave me today about the big game coming up on Saturday.
He's a special player, obviously. It's certain guys in this league that can take over games, and he's one of those guys. But we knew to win the championship here, it was going to go through Patrick and Lamar and Josh, and Joe Burrow. That's the AFC side, unfortunately. That's where we live. So we knew we got to face one of those guys eventually. So watching Pittsburgh and Baltimore last week, I was cheering for Pittsburgh because I knew that Lamar can wreck your dreams, and so can Josh. So that's part of it. If you're going to win the AFC side, it's going through those four guys, and it's our turn.
Yeah, that sounds pretty much what my dad had to say. Hey, if you're going to be a champion, you got to beat the best. Okay, all right. What about Mike McGlinchey, the right tackle for the Broncos? Talking about the group this year, the team. Usually when you win 14 games or you have a big season, it's a group of guys that love being with each other, playing together, and, you kind of go through that grind. We see a lot of that chemistry on the Trailblazer team this year.
I think so. I think this is as close of a group as I've ever been a part of. I think everybody enjoys playing with each other. Everybody enjoys going to work with each other. It's competitive in a healthy way. From training camp, you kind of evolve from, hey, the defense is the enemy, to now you're rooting them on, and because obviously we're all working for the same goal. But the competition that starts in April and the respect that builds in April from both sides of the ball, and then obviously in teams, you just kind of keep growing together, and then all of a sudden, guy steps up here or there, and you're like, I have a newfound respect for you because of the way that you play, or the way that I've seen you attack workouts in the first 5-6 weeks in OTAs or whatever. Those experiences bring people close together, and I think Sean has done an unbelievable job of building that culture and allowing the players to be who we are, and be that way together. And I think it's been the biggest joy playing in Denver so far.
There you go. Leave it to the offensive linemen. They're always the smartest guys on the field. Smart guys. Know what they're doing, know where they need to be, understand their offense, well-spoken, thoughtful. I can't wait till this weekend. Gripping, but can't wait. 503-248-0620. I have no idea who's going to win the Broncos-Bills game. I do like the Seahawks to top the 49ers. The 7.5 might be a bit steep, but I like the Seahawks to advance to the NFC title game. I lean Rams over the Bears, and I like the Texans on the basis of that defense to take out the Patriots in New England. Assuming C.J. Stroud doesn't turn it over like 4 times or fumble it 5 or 6 or 7 times or however many times he wants to let go of the football like we saw against Pittsburgh. Their defense is awesome. They're a hot football team, and when you got a defense that's playing like that, you believe you can beat anybody. It's one of the best defenses I've seen. They're right up there with some of the best. And what's really unique about them is that there's no blitzing, there's no disguise, there's no smoke and mirrors. They line up in their base and they're like, we're better than you, and we're going to shut you down. And they believe that. That's how they operate. It's ridiculous. Now, I did ask Alex Brink about Joshua Allen, Superman, Mr. Amazing Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, and Alex also picked the Bills to win the game because of Josh Allen. Really appreciate that. Aaron Fentress flat out told me he's not rooting for Denver because he wants Buffalo to get to the Super Bowl. And I get it. They're one of only 2 teams to lose 4 Super Bowls? Minnesota and Buffalo now. But here's Brink talking about the big man, Superman.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about Josh Allen and where he's at his best, obviously it's his ability to extend plays, right, and find a way to impact receivers downfield. But I think what people forget is that with a really talented back like James Cook, they can kill you in play action pass too. And so that's really, to me, what happened to the Jaguars is big passes to my guy Brandon Cooks downfield became a real problem for that Jaguars defense that I don't think they were really ready for. And so, for the Broncos who have been solid on defense all year, they got to start with stopping the run first, as crazy as that sounds when you're playing Josh Allen. But if you can stop the run, you can make Josh Allen and that offense be a little bit more one-dimensional, and you can focus on that.
Well, I hope that's what they do. It's going to be tough. James Cook is a terrific player. The Bills run the football extremely well, and, of course, Josh is a big part of that. But the Broncos are going to have to limit the run game. They're going to have to. Got to limit the run game. You've got to force them to become one-dimensional, and then that's where the Broncos can utilize their pass rush. Denver had 68 sacks this year. They came close to the all-time mark by the 84 Bears, but the Broncos can get pressure. Jonathan Cooper, Nick Casabenito, their defensive line, they've got multiple players up front who are good. Secondary is elite with Patrick Surtain. Linebackers, not as good, but they do get Dre Greenlaw back this week. And he'll be helpful in coverage, but also being a thumper in the run game, too. That's just how it works. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. We're going to head to Denver coming up at 5:20, and we'll talk with Ryan Edwards. I want to get his take on the game and see where he's at. I'm just looking for a way to ease my stress level right now. Too much analyzing, too much going on. All right, you got to hear this. Sean Payton, very crusty right now before a big playoff game against Josh Allen and the Bills. And I love it because I see this happen at Blazer games. I've seen it happen at football games. I like it when writers or radio guys or anybody gets real technical with their language, and then the coach clowns on them a bit. It's pretty classic.
Sean, having Greenlaw back for this game, his ability to attack downhill and in the run game, just how big is that and the timing of it for this one?
You want him to attack downhill? Is that your, what do you know about attacking downhill in the run game? You don't know. All right, that's right.
But
have him attacking downhill. It's good to have a healthy Dre Greenlaw back in the game. Yeah.
What do you know about attacking downhill in the run game? Not much, Coach. Not much. But I do like it because you see reporters or people do that from time to time where they try to get a little cute with their lingo, maybe to showcase their intelligence or a way to connect with the coaching. And every once in a while, you get a coach that will shut you down like that. But what do you know about downhill?
Sean, having Greenlaw back for this game, his ability to attack downhill and in the run game, just how big is that and the timing of it for this one?
You want him to attack downhill? Is that your, what do you know about attacking downhill in the run game? You don't know. All right, that's right.
But
have him.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time. These coaches, man, very, very edgy before a big game. You want him to attack downhill in the run game? What do you know about that? I don't know anything, Coach. I'm just here to listen to you talk. And I've had coaches, they ask me, like, who was it? Popovich? Yeah, Potholovich looked me in the eye once. He's like, why would you ask that? And, of course, I was about to shrink, and he's like, I'm just joking. It's like, Coach, don't do that to me, man. You're going to give me a heart attack. What's up with that? What do you know about downhill?
Sean, having Greenlaw back for this game, his ability to attack downhill and in the run game, just how big is that and the timing of it for this one?
You want him to attack downhill? Is that your, what do you know about attacking downhill in the run game? You don't know. All right, that's right.
But
have him attacking downhill. It's good to have a healthy Dre Greenlaw back in the game. Yeah.
Their quarterback.
All right, there you go. That's Sean Payton. Guy's getting cute, and Luka got shut down. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Sean in Damascus says the altitude will help, and Denver has a great defense and the better coach, so take a breath and relax. They do have the better coach, I don't doubt that, and the Bronco defense is elite. It has been all year. Okay, let's see here. Wyoming. All right. We got someone on hold there. Let's go ahead and take this real quick. It says Mike, Spirit Mountain Mike is there. Mike, welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Fire away.
Hey, how's it going? I try to relieve your anxiety a little bit, Chad.
Do you like the Broncos?
Well, yeah, I do. And, but I'd like to start with that point spread on that Miami game. I'm leaning your way. That's way too high in my opinion. They're not, as long as they don't turn over the ball. Like I said, I think they're going to be in this game till, at least the fourth quarter. And that spread, I don't know what they come up with that. What is it, 9 points now?
Yeah, it's at 9. That seems pretty steep for me in a title game. Basically because, Miami is, they're littered with talent. They got guys who can play.
Oh, I know, absolutely. But like I said, Oregon shot themselves in the foot right off the bat. So as long as they don't turn it over in the first part of the first half, I think it's going to be a grinded out game, really. But that's my opinion on that. But going to the pros, I just have a weird feeling that Denver's going to get off to a pretty good start, which I think they're going to need. They're going to need more than a 1 or 2 quarters. And it's scary. How lucky can we get to have Josh Allen going against the Broncos?
I'm nervous, Mike. I'm nervous, my friend.
I hear you, brother. Well,
but I'll be down there on Friday. I'll be down there on Friday.
Uh-huh.
You going to be down there on Friday?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I'm sure I probably will be.
Yeah, good. I'll be down there on Friday.
The thing is about those Broncos, too. I put a futures bet in. As you know, I'm degenerate better. And I need them to get to the Super Bowl. I'm doing good.
Okay, good. I know, now I know why you're calling in about the Broncos, because you got some rooting interest on your side. That's Spirit Mountain Mike, man. He loves football. He loves the action, and he's trying to pump me up right now. And he's got a futures bet on the Broncos. So at least I know, Mike, we are on the same side. All right, we're going to head to Denver at 5:20. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, 5 o'clock. Trailblazers fall to the Warriors last night without Denny. They're back home to meet the Hawks tomorrow night at Moda Center. Tip at 7. Chris Burkhardt will have Game Day live at 5 from Moda Center here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. No word on Denny's status for tomorrow. Jeremy Grant could be nearing a return, and Young Hansson has been assigned to the Rip City Remix. Big news for the Ducks. Quarterback Dante Moore announced today that he's going to return to Oregon for another season, which is putting him in a position to be the number one quarterback in college football next season. From the NFL, 49ers linebacker Fred Warner isn't ruling out a return Saturday night from a dislocated ankle. Niners at the Seahawks Saturday night at 5 on Fox. Seattle favored by 7.5. The Bills and Broncos are a pick 'em right now. They'll start off the divisional round at 1:30 Saturday on CBS. Tony Romo. Sunday at noon on ABC. Texans at the Patriots. New England favored by 3. Rams at the Bears. 3:30 on Sunday. LA favored by 4. I wish, do they have the technology where you can mute one broadcaster? It would be nice to be able to watch the Bronco game on Saturday without the sounds of Tony Romo. I don't want his analysis. I don't want him trying to predict the plays. I don't want him talking over Jim Nance. And I don't want to hear him say Jim 50 times during the course of the broadcast. Jim, 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 Jim. Well, gee, I don't know, Jim. Jim, whoever wins this game has a great chance to win the Super Bowl. He actually said that during the Bills-Jaguars game this past weekend. I'm done with Tony Romo. I can't deal with it anymore. I'm out. I am out on Tony. He is number one on my list of unacceptable broadcasters right now. Like Troy Aikman right now is skyrocketing. He is my favorite to listen to. Tony Romo's at the bottom. And you know who I'm out on. I'm out on Tony. I can't take Herb Street anymore. It's too much. But Romo is just brutal. It's like, come on, man. And who else? Who's the other guy that does basketball? Unlistenable. Van Gundy. Now, not Jeff, but his lesser brother, Stan Van. The guy that looks like the porn star. Stan Van Gundy is, his mouth, it's just like diarrhea. I can't take it, man. So I would say right now, my 3 least favorite broadcasters in sport, Romo number 1, Van Gundy number 2, Kirk Herbstreit number 3. I guess I could start my broadcaster rankings just like my kid ratings right now. I would say right now my kid rankings, if I had to rank them, Puppy Shots number 1. He's had a good week. He disrupted my sleep last week, but he's been pretty good. I'll put Isaac number 2. Anytime Isaac rises above 3, I have no idea. I'm always amazed at that. And I'll put Kaylee at number 3. She has a habit now. Raise your hand, fathers, if you've ever been through this. She'll say she's going to go one place but winds up in a different spot when she takes off with her friends but doesn't communicate with mom or dad. It drives me bonkers. So the 2 things, and the other thing, too, I had to talk to her about it again, and I'm just willing to raise it to a different level to finally get her attention. So the 2 things that put Kaylee at number 3, 1, not communicating with parents on her whereabouts. Luckily, with technology, you can track your children, which is nice. But with Kaylee, it's the lack of communication, which was interesting because last night she over-texted me to make sure I knew her whereabouts and what was going on in her dome. So that was good. But the other thing that kills me, too, is like you come downstairs and it's like, why is it freezing ass down here? And the best part is it's freezing, but the heater's going full blast. So I'm like, what in the world is going on? Is there a window busted out? No. she just had her window in her room open and letting in all this cold air. So you've got the heater downstairs blasting at full power. I walk in her room, her window's wide open, letting in all the cold air as the warm air escapes. And then she's got this little space heater, little mini thing, and it's blasting at full blast too. And I've talked to her about this time and time again. And so finally I told her, I said, look, let me keep this very simple, honey. I just want to make sure we're clear so you understand what the penalty is going to be. And I was like, here's the deal. The next time I come down and the heater's going full blast and your window's open, I'm going to take everything in your room and in your closet and I'm tossing it out on the grass in the backyard. That includes your bedspread, your covers, every piece of clothing you have. It's all going out in the back. I don't care if it's raining outside. I don't care if it's muddy outside. Every single thing is going in the backyard. No questions asked. I'm just doing it. And she looked at me like I was insane, but it's like, what? Hello, McFly. Oh, my gosh. That stuff kills me. So there you go. The kid rankings right now. Puppy Shots 1, Isaac 2, Kaylee 3, and my broadcaster rankings, Romo. Well, wait a second. I can't do, how do I do it to go backwards? Yeah, so it would be, I'll put, well, they're all crappy. Who's my number one of the worst? So I would say Romo's always the worst. Romo, Van Gundy, and then Herb Street's a little bit better than those guys. But Herb Street kills me too. Too much about the dogs. I love dogs as much as anyone. I love animals. Well, I thought you were supposed to love all animals, Mr. Ventura. I do. I love all animals. But it's too much of the dogs. And then the criticism he had of, who was that was playing? Was that, I forgot the quarterback. I don't know. I can't take him anymore. Those are my three. But Tony Romo's, Jim. What? I'm serious. If you pay attention to the broadcast, I'm not doing it because I'm going to be muting it. But if you listen to Romo this weekend, just do yourself a favor. Keep a gym tracker. And I did this the other day. Keep a tracker of how many times Romo says Jim. And it's like, I need better analysis, Romo. And then the other part that you know is crazy, he's going to slobber. He will be acquiescing about Josh Allen. And I don't need Romo. I don't need that. So there you have it. Who else? Yeah, Aikman's great. The guys I grew up with, I mean, Al Michaels, even Al Michaels at his age, he's in his 80s now. He's still great. I love Al Michaels. I mean, he's not as sharp as he was 30 years ago, but who is? Al Michaels is great. But the guys I grew up with, like I was a big Charlie Jones and Dick Inberg. Let me just stumble over my words here. Dick Inberg. Dick Inberg is my number one all time for football. Love Dick. Dick Inberg, Marv Albert, Al Michaels. Like, I love all those guys because they were great. I would say, and it pains me to say this, it's very painful, but I think Tom Brady is doing a heck of a job. I don't want him to succeed, but I have to admit Tom Brady's pretty good at his job. He's really good. He gives great insight, unlike Tony Romo. And he did this breakdown on throwing a football in the wind. And so it's like you hear Tom Brady talk and breaking down how to throw a football in the wind, and it's like Tony Romo couldn't even begin to do something like this because he'd be too busy saying Jim a million times and tweaking out on whatever he's tweaking out on. Take a listen to Tom Brady on a mechanics when throwing in windy conditions.
How to throw in the wind with Tom Brady. What do I do with this? You have an idea with this.
That's bad audio. Come on, let's find something better here. I don't need a recording of a recording. I need the actual recording. Let's try this.
Today's lesson, how to throw in the wind with Tom Brady.
What do I do with this?
You have an idea.
I was okay with this. Yeah, so what you see it, and I talk about the point of the ball a lot. You can see it from, well, I'll start in this angle. This is kind of like a neutral plane. This is when the poise slightly down. When you're throwing into the wind, it has to be neutral. If the point of the ball is up, any wind friction is going to push that ball up over the top. So as a quarterback, you don't really like that U throw underneath because naturally that's going to point the tip of the ball up. You'd like more of a C or an inverse, a reverse C. That's how you kind of control the point of the ball, and then you can kind of just snap it off as you throw it. But in these windy conditions, you can't be underneath the ball. There's too much wind surface of the ball to knock it off its path.
There you go. That is terrific analysis. That is a 7-time Super Bowl champ who's getting it done. And then you've got Tony Romo. Again, he's working with Jim Nantz, who is like the gold standard, right? We all love Jim Nantz, but I don't need Tony Romo talking over Jim Nantz. I mean, come on. These are big games. Big games. And then when you put in Tony Romo into the search engine, it's like Tony Romo rant or Tony Romo drunk. He's so bad. He really is. So there you have it. That's my current rankings. Puppy Shots has risen to number 1. And the worst broadcaster you can listen to right now is Tony Romo, in my most humble opinion. That's all. But yeah, Romo's crazy. Awful announcing has been hitting him pretty hard lately, too. I love that title. Tony Romo doesn't appear as if he does his homework. It's true. He's been pretty bad lately. Gee, Jim. All right, let's take a listen to little Tony Romo. Let's see. This is what you get with Tony Romo. Come on, Internet. Gosh, dang it. Oh, whatever. I don't need to hear Tony anyways. I've heard enough of Tony. 503-248-0620. Oh, my gosh. Cell phones and spotty internet. Is that just enough to drive a person mad or what? Spotty internet. What else bothered me too? There was something else. Was something my kids did? No, I think I covered that. There was something else that irritated me. I can't remember what it was. Oh, my gosh. It doesn't matter. I forgot. Ryan Edwards, 850 KOA in Denver, going to join us next. We'll get his take on the matchup. And look, if you have any insight on how the Broncos can get this done against Josh Allen, I mean, chime in. I know a lot of you are rooting against Denver probably just because you want me to suffer, and I respect that. But this is obviously a tough matchup. But what game are you looking forward to the most? Like, for me, I'm most intrigued, taking Denver out of it, like I'm really intrigued by this Patriot-Texan game because I think the Texans are going to go in there with their defense and just shut down the Patriots and win the game. Like a hideous, ugly, low-scoring defensive-type ball game. I think the Texans are going to win. And I think the Texans right now are the most dangerous team in the AFC because of that defense. I truly believe that. And I've got big respect for Mike Vrabel. What a job that guy's done. See, you get the coach right, and it changes everything. These idiot franchises can't figure it out. Hey, Jets. We shouldn't even talk about the Jets. They're helpless. Woody Johnson. I mean, complete bums. They might as well just hire Tony Romo as coach. And then he could just yell Jim from the sideline with the headset on a million times and try to make play calls. The Jets are hopeless. But you make the right hire as coach, and it can change everything. Look at Mike Vrabel. He came in. Everything's different now. The Patriots look like they know what they're doing. They got a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And John Harbaugh's available. The Raiders could use some help. Look at their job. The Steelers have had like 3 coaches. They've had like 3 coaches in my lifetime, legitimately 3 coaches, Noel, Cowher, and Tomlin. And the Raiders have had like 7 coaches in the last 10 years. And the Jets are just, they're terrible. And the Browns too, because their owners are dumb. Those are the 3 worst right now. Jets, Browns, Raiders. Titans aren't far behind. They're dumb too. But it's the same teams picking at the top of the draft. I'm sure Dante Moore's like, the Jets, I'm out. I want no part of that. But you watch a good franchise like the Eagles, if Nick Sirianni doesn't figure it out and screw his dome on straight, they'll fire him too. Because they don't sit on mistakes. If he ain't getting it done, they'll move on. That's what good franchises do. All right, we're going to head to Denver next. We'll talk about this Josh Allen Denver Bronco matchup, and I'll get Ryan's take on all the other divisional round matchups. Hawks, Niners, Texans, Patriots, and the Rams, Bears, which looks like is going to be the most heavily bet on game of the weekend, and that makes sense based on the Bears fan base. And, I mean, they're throwing that bad boy in prime on Sunday. All right, Ryan Edwards is up next. You got the Rip City Drive.
He's a special player, obviously. It's certain guys in this league that can take over games, and he's one of those guys. But we knew to win the championship here, it was going to go through Patrick and Lamar and Josh, and Joe Burrow. That's the AFC side, unfortunately. That's where we live. So we knew we got to face one of those guys eventually. So watching Pittsburgh and Baltimore last week, I was cheering for Pittsburgh because I knew that Lamar can wreck your dreams, and so can Josh. So that's part of it. If you're going to win the AFC side, it's going through those four guys, and it's our turn.
All right, that right there is Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. The big question is, how do you slow down Superman Josh Allen? Joining us right now from our sister station in Denver, 850 KOA. It's Ryan Edwards who's back. And Ryan, I don't know what you thought in the wild card round, but where did you rank the Bills on potential matchups and how difficult that would be for the Broncos?
Yeah, I thought it was the toughest one. Everything Vance said there was true. It's we've all watched enough football to know what he can do, and even when they got the ball with 4 or 5 minutes left in the game against Jacksonville, you knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah,
it's the same thing that happens with Patrick Mahomes. Same things that happens with Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. He's right. That's what those guys do. They close, and so. For the Broncos, this is probably the hardest matchup, but I'd say the other side of it, and the part I'm looking forward to is, there's a lot of people there that don't really believe the Broncos are deserving of this spot to be the 1 seed, to be one of the best teams in the AFC. Well, here's a chance to prove it. You're going to be, one of the final 4 games here, and you're facing probably the best team left in the AFC as far as I'm concerned. Go out there and prove everybody that you belong, and this is the game to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the matchup is difficult, but I do like the fact that people are counting them out. I like the fact that they opened up as underdogs, and I do think that playing Josh Allen, sometimes people worry about the layoff or the 2 weeks off with the bye week and how it might, take away some of your aggressiveness or your focus level, but not with this team, right? With Josh Allen, that's something where the coaches can get the players' attention, and I would guess that the Broncos will be ready to go right from kickoff.
I completely agree. Yeah, and it's such a good point you bring up there too, because I would say the performance against the Chiefs and the Chargers, those final 2 games, were in part because you're sort of getting up for Chris Oladokun.
Yes.
You're getting up for Trey Lance. It's a different mindset, right? And it's just human nature, right? People say, well, you're supposed to blow those teams out. Well, yeah, but then unless you don't necessarily need to play your best football to beat them, then you won't. And the Broncos have found a way to say, all right, well, we can do what we need to do to get through this game and to win it. We don't necessarily have to be at our best. Now, some people will say that that's a mark of a team that's flawed, and maybe it is. We're going to find out, right? But I say on the other side of it, hey, you did what you needed to do. You got the win. But I completely agree with the sentiment there. There's no way you can approach Josh Allen, even with the banged-up receivers or injuries they're coming in with. Nobody's going to overlook Josh Allen. He's that guy. He's that quarterback. They came into this initially as an underdog. Now it's swung back the other way a little bit. But knowing all those factors, I absolutely think this team is going to show up with their best shot.
You bring up a good point about the mindset for those final 2 games. I'm not saying the coaches or the players think like I do, but human nature. Like, I looked at the final 2 games after the loss to Jacksonville, and I'm like, okay, the Chiefs are beat up. The Chargers are beat up. You just need to win 2 games to secure the 1 seed. So just go out there and find a way to get the win and don't screw it up. And I wonder if that type of mindset where you just need 2 wins to lock up the 1 seed, if it changes the way you call a game or the way you approach a game because you're just trying not to screw it up and make the big mistakes so you can ensure yourself a victory.
And honestly, it was the way I viewed it. Again, they're not going to say that, but that's the way the games looked.
Yes.
Really both sides of the ball. It felt like, I'm not saying they were going through the motions, but a couple of guys I trust who've coached and have been around the league, they said this is some of the most vanilla offense they've seen, in those last couple of games.
Yep.
Now, one was a Thursday night game, so it makes sense to be relatively vanilla. But the other one, you had a week and a half to prepare for the Chargers. But once you found out that they were going to bench some starters and there's going to be Trey Lance, who's relatively limited at this point, you knew you didn't have to do everything. You didn't have to show everything either. Again, they'll never admit to it because then it's kind of a disingenuous approach to the game. Simultaneously, like I said, the people that I've talked to, they kind of felt like, no. They won't say it, but this is exactly what they're doing. Now, does that mean that they are holding some extra cards in store for us for the playoffs? I don't know. I mean, I sort of doubt that, but I do think that they can play better. We've seen games like the Packers game, for example, come back to that game over and over again. The Packers were one of the hottest teams in the NFL coming into Denver. And Bo Nix had 4 passing touchdowns. They played a complete game in so many facets, especially in the second half. So we know they're capable of more, and this is the time to show it.
Yeah, I agree. We're talking with Ryan Edwards from 850 KOA in Denver. So with this matchup against Buffalo, we know that they're beat up at receiver, like you mentioned, with the injuries. So are the 2 tight ends and the running back, James Cook, is that the number one thing you've got to concern yourself with and limit that so that they have 3rd and long instead of 2nd and 3rd and short?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, and then, we had Shelby Harris, who plays for the Browns. He was in the studio with us for the last couple of days, and they played the Bills, and actually they played a pretty good game against them, with the exception of James Cook. They actually held Josh Allen to like 150 passing yards and only 17 rushing yards. They did a great job on Josh Allen, but they gave up a couple of long runs to James Cook, and that ended up being the difference. Their offense turned the ball over, which is probably a pretty typical Shedeur Sanders game at this point. But more than anything, they saw some things that they could do and work on, and I think the Broncos will have a chance to kind of look at that and say, okay, well, these are things that we can do as well. So, yeah, you start with James Cook. If James Cook can have a relatively mild game, and again, tight ends can be tough for the Broncos to cover sometimes. So, but considering their wide receiver injuries, that has to be the way you look at it. And then I thought we had Malcolm Roach, Broncos defensive lineman, on today. I thought he said it perfectly. He said, Josh Allen, if you might make an NBA analogy, Josh Allen's going to go for 30. Just don't let him go for 60. And I thought that was a great way to put it.
Boy, that is a great way to put it. Dre Greenlaw is going to be back. How much is he going to help at linebacker when it comes to potentially covering a tight end or helping out in, being able to stuff the run?
Yeah, well, just don't tell Sean Payton that he's going to be stuffing the run.
Yeah, attacking downhill in the run game. So good.
Yeah, he's going to be significant, and that's one of the reasons why you brought him in here.
Yeah.
The fact that you got the 1 seed and he was sort of a part-time player in that is truly remarkable. I would have said going into the season, if he was going to miss as many games as he did, the Broncos would have had a really tough time, maybe even making the playoffs, because the inside linebacking group was really that thin, especially with Alex Singleton coming back off injury. But he was able to play for most of the season. Justice Sternad's been fantastic for this team.
Great.
And then you got off out of Dre Greenlaw, and then now he's back. So, his playoff experience with the 49ers, as along with his talent, is certainly going to play a major role in what they're going to try to do. And honestly, the addition of Dre as well as Talanoa Hufanga is such a significant difference to what the team is able to do on the defensive side of the ball from last year when these two teams played each other in the playoffs. Both of them have helped out in the run tremendously, both in coverage as well, especially when Dre's out there. So I do think that is a big difference in the reason why the Broncos have some more optimism this year.
And one thing I've noticed with Sean Payton this year is, like, in the biggest games, like you mentioned, Green Bay being one, Kansas City being another, but in big-time moments, he's really seemed to get the offense revved up and scheme well. And also in situations where the team doesn't play well, he seems to have a nice bounce-back game. But I just feel like Sean Payton, like, if there's one area where I know the Broncos have an edge, I think it's at coaching, right? With Sean Payton's acumen and his ability to scheme, like, I think he'll put the guys in a position to have success. They just got to go out and execute.
I completely agree. And he's, it's one of those deals where the team maybe doesn't have a ton of postseason experience, but he does. And he knows how to lead these guys appropriately. And, he had some interesting moments in his press conference yesterday. I mean, besides the Dre Greenlaw one, where he was talking about playoff myths. And we've been sort of, batting it around here in Denver about what he means by them, because some of them were actually like negative to the Broncos. Like, he was talking about home field is really not that big of a thing, because he was putting out the wild card weekend and how many home teams lost having home field advantage. And he pointed out a couple other things, and we're like, all of this is just messaging to his team to, like, not take it for granted, understand that you can be at home, but it doesn't gift you anything other than home field, and you have the crowd behind you, but you got to go out there and still win. He put out another one saying, well, just because you've been resting, maybe you get off to a faster start because you've had that bye week. He's like, that's a myth too. And it's like, he's trying to, again, get to his guys and tell them, hey, don't plan on being out to a fast start and the Buffalo Bills being off to a slow start because they're on a short week. I just thought the way that he managed that, even through the media, through his press conference, was really kind of a brilliant stroke. Again, we've kind of been debating all the parts of what he said, but it was all very intentional. And I love that the Broncos have him as their coach in this situation.
Yeah, me too. I think he's super sharp. His arrogance drives me crazy at times, and he's a bit crusty, but there's no doubt that he's well prepared. But I did, when he was mentioning the stuff about home field, I just went back and did a quick calculation. In my lifetime as a Bronco fan, maybe it's different for some teams, but for a team like Denver, where you have such a collegiate atmosphere in the altitude, they're 15-4 in home playoff games since I've been a fan, since like 86. So, and I think of the 8 times the franchise has been the number 1 seed, I think they went to the Super Bowl 6 times. So there's no doubt that home field, there's a significant advantage. The one area where I didn't think about that he talked about, and I would agree with it the way he put it, is, part of the key of being a number 1 seed and getting a bye is that you avoid one round of Russian roulette. And that makes sense. I never thought of it like that, but it's true.
It's absolutely true. And you just see perfect example is the Buffalo Bills, who lost 2 of their wide receivers to ACL tears. And that's exactly right. And he said, you take away, you think about it from the West, right? And your guy's getting healthier. But to your point, you have the Russian roulette with injuries to your opponents and to other teams. And then you don't run the risk of possibly being bounced in the first round, where sometimes weird games happen and some weird bounces of the ball. And you just don't have to worry about any of that. You're just preparing for the next game, and you have that extra time to prepare. So, yeah, I love their spot. I love their opportunity. And as much as the Bills were going to be the toughest matchup, we just gave out all the reasons why this is a really good opportunity to show a lot of people. Plus, I do like that they're playing the 2:30 game. You're not sitting around all day thinking about the game, playing a night game, watching the other game. You just get out there and you just go. And it's a normal time for the Broncos. I mean, they usually play on Sunday, obviously, but it's a 2:30 start for us here locally, which is pretty close to their normal start time.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of things that really do line up nicely for the Broncos. But once again, you're playing against Superman, and what is he going to do?
Who do you think is going to win?
I like the Broncos' chances here. I really do. I sort of think the home field thing is going to be huge. I mean, you think about 10 years. It's been 10 years since the Broncos have had a chance to host a playoff game.
Wow.
And this crowd the Broncos country is losing their minds. Like, this city is buzzing with this game. Now, there's some nervous energy because of who Josh Allen is and what the Buffalo Bills have represented. But the crowd is ready to just be completely behind this team. And, I do think that they've improved in the ways they need to. And I think the biggest thing when it comes back to, why I think I have more faith in this team this time around than last year. They were 1-7 one-score games last year, and this year they're 11-2.
Yeah.
This year they're closing out those games. They have 12 comeback wins. So even if things don't go well early in the game, the crowd knows just hang in there. The team, as long as they're within a score in the final quarter of this thing, they're going to have a really good chance because they've shown time and time again that they can close those games.
Yeah, and maybe it helps that in that game against Kansas City, the Chiefs had the ball with a chance to take the lead late in the fourth quarter, and they get the big play from, McMillan on Patrick Mahomes. They've been in a spot where they have had to come up with a play defensively to secure a win, and maybe they can do that again. I guess my big question would be this. We know the Bills' run defense is bad, and you and I have talked about this throughout the year. Like, is Sean Payton, is he going to try or attempt to run the football more, or should we just throw that idea out the window because that's not what he's done all year, and he's going to continue to try and put Bo in a position to move the football through the air?
Boy, I want to say that I have faith that they'll do that, but I don't. I mean,
it's not going to happen.
It's so tough because they've had advantageous moments where it's saying just run the ball. Like, in fact, it's working. And you just watched Jacksonville lose where they were doing whatever they wanted on the ground versus Buffalo. I mean, they were moving up and down the field with the run game, but once again, these coaches, they get in the mindset of like, but what if we can get an explosive in the passing game? What if I can put my quarterback in a position to close this thing? And you get a little bit greedy, you get a little bit, kind of some arrogance, some ego there. But I'd say the one thing that gives me hope there is outside runs work really well against Buffalo. Okay. So outside runs, that's really kind of their weak point, and that's the one thing the Broncos running backs really like to do here.
Yeah.
They're not great running between the tackles, but between Jaleel McLaughlin and R.J. Harvey, they love to bounce it aside. So if you can get some pin pull action, if you can get some seal blocks, I think that you're going to have an opportunity to bust some bigger runs and then give yourself some opportunities maybe for Bo Nix, who can also run, to do some things and be creative. So I hope that he will do it. But if you're asking my total faith in it, it's pretty set.
Yeah. No, I would be tickled pink if Jaleel McLaughlin got like 15 carries. I know it's not happening, but I just think that he's one of those guys that has proven, productive when he gets the football. And what I like about Jaleel, even as a smaller guy, he's not afraid to run between the tackles. He shows some toughness in there, which I like.
100%.
But
yeah,
Sean,
and he's been very good. Yeah, and he doesn't. But the one thing with Jaleel is tough is he's not ever in for pass pro.
Yeah.
Like he's got 3 pass pro snaps in like the 80 times he's been on the field since J.K. Dobbins went down. And it's like, okay, well, you're tipping your hand a little bit when Jaleel's in the game. So that's something you're going to have to continue to battle through. But once again, this is the matchup where you just say, forget it. We're just going to run and Buffalo. We're going to dare Buffalo to stop us. We're going to even use Bo Nix in the run. And we're going to see if we can get to 150, 160 rushing yards. And I think that the Broncos can sort of pinpoint that spot and kind of aim for that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of other things will open up. But once again, there's got to be a commitment to it.
Well, I can tell you one thing. If the Broncos get 150 rushing yards between their backs and Bo Nix, they're going to win the game. I feel confident in that. Yes. All right, real quick on the other games, I want to get your take. I'm fascinated by Texans and Patriots. I think Houston's got a great chance to go in and deliver a blow to New England with that defense. How do you see that game?
Yeah, that's going to be a fascinating one, right? It could be kind of a rock fight between these two teams. They both have. I mean, I'd say the Patriots are a little bit more of a complete team, but because of what Houston's going to do, they're going to have to kind of commit to being balanced and sort of taking what the Texans are giving them, which, by the way, is one of the reasons the Broncos beat the Texans earlier this year is, the Texans will give you a little bit. And if you can just sort of stay patient with that, which the Broncos have shown, hey, listen, if you're going to give us something, we'll take 5 yards from you.
Yeah.
We don't need to throw it up over the top. We're not going to get impatient. And I love about this team. There's so many teams that get impatient with it, and they want the big explosive plays. The Broncos are like, fine, we'll take 5 yards. We'll take 6 yards. We're just going to keep moving the ball. They lead the league in drives of 14 or more play yards, or 14 more plays. So that's something that I think if it ends up being the Texans in the AFC Championship game, I'm still feeling good about the Broncos. But, yeah, I think that game's going to be interesting. I probably like the Patriots because of the home field. But once again, man, the Texans are playing with some mojo here, and it's hard to deny that. And so if they can not fumble the snap like they did against the Steelers,
oh, yuck.
then 5 times. That was wild. Then I think they have a good chance.
What about the Bears and Rams?
Man, another team playing with a lot of mojo there with the Bears. I thought the Rams were the best team in the NFL for most of the season, so I'm going to stay with the Rams. But the weather is supposed to be pretty brutal, pretty cold. So that one could be interesting for the Bears, who are obviously used to playing in that a little more. But give me the Rams in that one.
All right, and then what else we got? Seahawks, 49ers, take 3 from Seattle on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm really going to be rooting hard for San Francisco. Just a lot of friends over there, but I'd say the Seattle Seahawks. They'll just look really tough, and that home field is no joke, as you know. So give me Seattle, a little healthier. Losing George Kittle does hurt a lot. So give me Seattle, but I'm excited to see what Kyle Shanahan's got up his sleeve here for this third time around.
Hey, Ryan, what are you hearing on John Harbaugh and where he might end up?
Well, I mean, it sounds like he's going to continue to take the visits, and I think he's doing the right thing. I still think the Giants are the team that's probably going to end up landing him. I just think that there's a lot there for him to start with. Like, he hits the ground running. He's got a quarterback. He's got a star wide receiver. He's got a couple of good running backs. Got a decent offensive line. Got a really good front seven. So that would be my guess. If we're throwing darts, a dartboard today, my guess would be the Giants.
All right. So your buddy Benjamin Albright. So how does this work? Do we need him to pick the Bills to ensure victory this weekend, or how does that work? Because he is kind of a jinx. What do we need?
He is a jinx. Yeah, he's kind of come off of that. I think after the Jags game, because he did it as a quote unquote bit, even though reality is, and he won't say it, but I'll say it. He was actually picking against the Broncos a lot.
Yeah.
He just doesn't believe. He doesn't believe in a lot of things they're doing, and some of these matchups, especially like the Packers, for example, he just thought they were going to get boat raced. So he said it. Well, it's a reverse jinx. It's just having some fun here, and it's like, okay, fine. But also, you didn't think they would win these games, and they just did. So he's now picking legitimately, if you will, and I'm saying that with air quotes. I don't know what he's going to do in this game. He said going into this weekend that he thought the Chargers were going to be the toughest matchup for the Broncos. So he actually thinks the Broncos have a pretty good chance against the Bills, I guess by process of elimination.
Yeah, fascinating. I think Bo Nix is going to play well Saturday. What do you think about Bo?
That's the biggest one as far as the question mark. I mean, the running game, yeah, sure. But I say, if Bo comes out and looks calm and he looks in control and confident, the Broncos are going to be great. We're going to know right away what Bo Nix looks like.
Probably the first two series,
and where
right?
that thing's going.
Yeah, first couple of series.
I think so. I think, first couple series, we're know exactly what kind of day the Broncos are in for. And if he looks calm and confident and executing the offense and being, even taking what the Bills are giving him and whatever, the Broncos are going to win that game. But if he comes out and looks like he did against the Raiders that Thursday Night Football, where his feet are all over the place and he's double and triple, pumping, the Broncos are going to lose. And then because a lot of the team is going to feed off of his energy, feed off of his confidence, and so it's a lot to put on him. But it's just what it is. I mean, that's when you're that quarterback, when you're the leader of a team. It's the same thing that the Bills do with Josh Allen with any quarterback, right? It's like, hey, if they're out there looking kind of nervous about the situation or just too amped up about the situation, then everybody's going to look at that and say, okay, well, he doesn't have it today. What are we going to do? And then you start doing things that you're not supposed to do. If he looks calm, cool, collected, and he looks like he's in control, I think the Broncos are going to be good.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. Broncos getting a win, and then me tuning in on the app and listening to you take Bronco calls for 4 hours. And then that's going to happen. Love that.
I can't wait, man.
Dude, you did.
I can't wait. And,
I went to that game against the Chargers, and I listened to you after the game. You were taking phone calls. Went to In-N-Out with my dad. Came back out. You were still taking phone calls all the way out to the airport, man. It was like a Sunday evening with Ryan Edwards. It was amazing.
I appreciate it, brother. It's a blast. I love. It's one of the more favorite things I get to do in my job, and I get to do a lot of cool things. But to do Broncos react and just get that visceral reaction from fans coming out of the stadium or fans from all over the country or watching the game, and then just it's just community, right? I mean, whether you're in Denver or anywhere, it's community, and these people call in. Some just listen. And it's truly one of the coolest things I get to do. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the kind words, man. And yeah, if we win this game, if the Broncos win this game, I certainly think we're going to go pretty late into the night.
That's awesome. All right, Ryan Edwards, 850 KOA. I appreciate your time, buddy. I'm in full grip mode right now. I can't wait for Saturday.
Can't wait, man. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. There's Ryan Edwards. That guy's so classy and so cool. Love talking ball with him, and you can listen to him if you're a Bronco fan. He does the pre and post, and he was taking phone calls for 4 hours after the finale when the Broncos locked up the 1 seed. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Big thanks to all of our guests, Ryan Edwards, Pete Fuitak, and Aaron Fentress. You got the Rip City Drive. All right. I don't think I'm feeling any better about the game this weekend, but it's nice to get some analysis. So I think I've pretty much settled in on how things are going to shake out. The Broncos are going to have to stop the run. You cannot let James Cook become a dominant part of that game, and you've got to make the Bills one-dimensional. And if they do that, then they can get pressure and start to frustrate Josh Allen. So that, to me, the tight ends in Knox and Kincaid in combination with the running back James Cook, those are the three guys. Those are the key guys. If they can limit those three and then put Josh Allen in a drop-back situation, they're probably going to win the game. For the Broncos, they have to show some form of a commitment to the run game, which they haven't done all year, so I have little hope that that's going to take place. But there are yards to be had on the ground against Buffalo because their run defense is bad. So can you get 120 yards rushing? Can Sean Payton commit to that? And then for Bo Nix, I think he'll be fine. Just be smart. Don't force the issue. Don't turn it over. In these playoff games, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about Bills, Broncos, Seahawks, 49ers, the Patriots and Texans, or, the Bears, Rams. Turnovers are critical. If you make big mistakes, if you turn it over, if you lose the turnover battle, you're probably going to lose the game. And like with most football games, but even more so in these playoff games, the game really comes down to 4 or 5 plays that will determine the outcome of the game. That's what's crazy. You play for 60 minutes, 4 quarters, but really we're talking about 4 or 5 plays that will be the difference. Which team is going to make the majority of those plays? So I'm pumped. I can't wait. Happy to see Dante Moore come back. The Ducks will be a big topic of conversation heading into next year. And we'll see what they're able to do in conference. And can they put themselves back in a position to make another run at a title? But Dante Moore coming back gives them a great opportunity to do so. And he's dynamite. I mean, he'll be awesome. So good for him. And I want the best for him and hope he stays healthy and can improve his draft stock and put himself in a position to learn and grow from, coming back and get more reps in college. For the Blazers tomorrow night, they're going to host the Hawks. Nice to have Drew Holiday back. Hoping that we get a chance to see Jeremy Grant tomorrow. And still waiting word, although I would be shocked. I would be stunned if Denny Avdia gives it a go. Can't see that happening. Can't see the team allowing that to happen. Let's see if they've got a new injury report. All right, here's what they've got. This is actually good news. So for the injury report for tomorrow, Scoot, Dame, Chris Murray, Matisse Thybulle, Blake Wesley are ruled as out. Denny Avdia has been upgraded to doubtful. That's good news with lower back soreness. And Jeremy Grant has been upgraded to questionable. So I would guess that we won't see Avdia, but we're probably going to see Jeremy Grant tomorrow. This is good news. So there you have it. Chris Burkhart will have game day live at 5 from Moda Center. I'll be on with the Rip City Drive starting at 3 live from Moda Center, and the tip-off at 7 here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. And then on Friday's show, I'm going to be giving away, you got to listen to me from 3 to 6. I'll have a 4-pack of Trailblazer tickets, but these are special because if you win them, you'll be sitting in the Coors Light Silver Seats in your own area, perched up in the Coors Light Silver Seats with Cold Rail technology. So you get your Coors Light, you drop it in the Cold Rail technology. It keeps your Coors Light cold throughout the entire night. You've got phone chargers, so your device, you don't have to worry about it getting low on battery because you'll be charged up throughout the entire game. And then you have your own area to hang out, watch the game, and have a little party in the Coors Light Silver Seats. I'm going to give those away on the show on Friday. So all you have to do is listen to me from 3 to 6 for your chance to win. We'll give those away. And that game is going to be coming up on January 22nd. So January 22nd, Heat, Trailblazers, Coors Light Silver Seats. We'll give those away on Friday. Big thanks to Brendan Slaughter for engineering the program today. A big thanks to all of our guests. Ryan Edwards from 850 KOA in Denver. We talked with Pete Fuitak from College Football News, and then Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian. Now, be sure to stay tuned. Coming up next here on Rip City Radio 620, we're going to join the Seattle Kraken game in progress. Third quarter just underway, or third period. and they're tied up at 2 with the New Jersey Devils. So enjoy the Kraken hockey, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.